Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Simply Race. We are back, finally back, for the Simply Race British Kart Championship, and we're here at a brand new venue. You may have noticed that it's slightly changed. I'm commentator Anthony Jordan. Joining me this time around, Tim Fulbrook.
Hello.
First time for you here at Simply Race, isn't it?
First time for me here at Simply Race, yeah, and I'm very much excited for the racing we have ahead of us. I mean, look how brilliant this is. People in a room together. I mean, we would have thought that seemed a million years away about 12 months ago, but we're back here at Simply Race. Everyone in their pods looking like they're going to be having a fantastic day's racing. Looking forward to it.
No, exactly that. Practice is currently underway, 30 minutes at the moment. Then they've got a 15-minute qualifying, and then, of course, those three all-important races. Half an hour in terms of length. Qualifying is obviously going to determine the positions for race one. Race two is, of course, the finishing order from race one. And then in race three, it's the classic touring cars reverse grid. From 4th to 10th, the bottom 6 will get that reverse grid order, and that will shuffle the grid around at all massively, won't it? And that is the one I'm looking forward to the most, I think.
Definitely, and I think that if you drop your head, if you feel like you've had a bad result in race one, don't worry. Plenty of time still left to bag yourself a podium, a race win, etc. Reverse grid as well. We've seen in the real world how that plays into racing, and I'm sure we're going to see carbon copy of that here in the virtual world, because like we get those drivers who potentially can't match the pace of the front runners, and at Oulton Park in the wet, the conditions we have today, it's going to be more difficult. I expect we might see some bigger gaps between the drivers and between the top and bottom end of the field, but reverse grid, throw those guys to the front and see how they handle the pressure of being at the front of the race. Looking forward to it.
No, definitely so. You are very much correct in saying that. Of course, championship leader at the moment is Callum Cripps with 143 points. The last time we actually raced in this championship was October 2020 at Croft, which seems like it seems like a lifetime away, really. So Callum Cripps isn't here. He is not in a position to defend himself. He's got 143 points. His next closest person is Ben Brown with 110 points, second in the championship. So with 20 points up for grab for each race, it's definitely going to turn the tables up a little bit here.
Yeah, we can see a lot change. And obviously, it's not just one race. It's 3 races, 3-point scoring opportunities, plenty of points up for grabs. And, missing someone like a championship leader and championship contender like that gives someone else an opportunity to pick up slightly bigger points. And we could see changes in the championship, not only at the sharp end, but for those fighting for positions lower down. Plenty on the line today.
No, definitely so. Well, plenty of action to come up during today, so do stick around. But at the moment, practice is underway. And until then, we'll leave you with practice, and we'll join you in just a moment over in the commentary box. Well, welcome to practice. This is the first time I think we've ever seen practice, and of course we're in the commentary box. You can't see us, but you can see the racing, you can see the practice out there. And thank you for joining us on the stream as well. We've got lots of visitors, lots of comments in already. Sean King, you're out there already. I'm coming for you because that yes, it is DJ. All right, you've got DJ for this one, but we've also got Tim. Tim, now it's a cozy commentary box in here, isn't it? It's cozy, but it's warm, and we've got lots of stuff coming up for us today. So in terms of sim racing, you've done quite a bit in terms of commentary, in terms of that, but you're fairly new to the game, aren't you? Talk us through.
Yeah, very new.
Commentary blooper. Can you tell it's his first time here? Didn't turn his microphone on. Apparently, it's low on back. There we go. So we can't blame you then. No. There we go. So we can't blame Tim for that one. Is that his batteries in his microphone have run out? So yeah, Sean saying he should be there. Yes, Sean, you should be here because you know there's points of graphics racing. Why are you not here? Yellow's in sector 1, so someone's gone a little bit askew here at Oulton Park. They clear quickly. Yeah, don't worry, Jack. The batteries are being replaced. Don't worry. You will be able to hear him at some point. Just bear with us. We are sorting that one out. As I've had a microphone drop on my lap. It's all go here at Simply Race in the commentary box, and it's all go out on track here at Oulton Park as well. 13 minutes to go, and you can see there Matt Richards leading the way in practice. Now, of course, practice is quite a crucial one. We can't really take much from this because they were told by Grant race directing, Grant Lyman behind the desk here at Simply Race in the new venue. He's taken control of the situation, and he's kind of said that guys, don't do hot laps every lap in practice. You need to learn the conditions, you need to get used to it, as the Clio drivers found out earlier on. We took part in that, didn't we, Tim? How did you find the Clios?
Yes, well, hopefully now you can hear me. That's one obstacle kind of stumbled across there. The first hurdle, we've tripped and fallen across it, but all good now. Yes, the Clios, exactly what you're saying about hot lapping. I found that in literally 5 laps, within 5 laps of pushing these wet tyres around Oulton Park, gone. Not happy, not wanting to play ball anymore. And I think that's really crucial for the drivers today. It's going to be nursing the wet rubber throughout this race, because you're going to get caught up in battles. You're going to find yourself side by side and looking for positions, but you can't afford to take that life out of the tyres, because then at the end of the race, it just tumbles up. You know, we refer to the cliff, don't we, in racing? Yeah. We experienced it firsthand today in our Clio races this morning, but excited to see how these drivers in slightly more powerful, more beefy cars get on with nursing that rubber around.
Exactly that. On board here, Colin Talbot for Cam Sport Racing, just going through the right-hander double apex of the penultimate corner there. Very fast corner, but very easy to go in a little bit too fast, and because obviously the wet conditions, the understeer is very, very real. You do find it, and if you, like you say, overheat those tyres, they can just drop off so quickly. As like I say, race 1, I found out I was just gung-hoing it into every corner, understeering everywhere. My tyre temps went through the roof, and by, I think, 10 minutes into the race, I was down to 33% on my front left tyre. And by that time, it was game over. I actually pitted, swapped over to new tyres, which actually worked really well in my favour.
It did.
Yeah, it was a tough old race. But yeah, these drivers are going to have to work super hard on keeping those tyre temps at a cool but consistent temperature. That is going to be the key, because it's 30 minutes. It's a long old race.
Yeah, definitely. And just to touch on the penultimate corner you were mentioning there as well, it's such an easy corner, like you say, to just understeer on. But on a hot lap, in your qualifying lap, you get to that point and you think, great, I'm up on my time potentially. I'm going to push it a little bit into here, test the conditions a bit more. And like you say, typically you're just going to find yourself skating, understeering wide. There's no runoff here at Oulton Park. This is a proper park circuit. There's no room for error at all. It's almost a mini Nordschleife, if you like. The barriers are close, the grass is close. Dip a wheel over there and you're going to find yourself being dragged away into the barrier. Nursing the tyres, yes, it's going to be crucial, because like I say, the drop off at the end. And bear in mind that the rain, the weather conditions can change. We see Charles Grout getting a huge slide on there and managing to kick the rear end of a Honda Civic round. That was an expert car control through the double right-hander. But if the conditions change, if rain then intensifies towards the end of the race, like we had in the Clios, it suddenly chucked it down, and there we are on a flooded track with tyres that have been screaming and crying out that they've had enough for the previous 15 minutes. So drivers will definitely need to keep their eye on the heads-up display to see if conditions are changing as well.
Exactly that. Well, of course, for everyone who are joining us on the stream, again, thank you very much for joining us. If you are liking what you're seeing, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more as well, and get your comments coming in. Jack Ashens is going to say he's going to fly up in a second, so Jack, it's great to hear from you, and hopefully you'll join in a little bit later on as well. Emily Wilson joins the stream as well. I'm sure she's supporting Chris, who's out on track. Emily's always my mathematician when it comes to points during the championship, so Emily, keep on it. Of course, there is Chris Wilson currently in his Ford Fiesta. Comments on the thing saying, is this a Ford Focus? It's not a Fiesta. Getting it wrong. Different championships. Yes. There's lots to think about. So in the Ford Focus, I should say, Sterling from him at the moment, currently 8th, 2.1 seconds off the pace. But remember, this is practice. I'm guessing that Manley's going for hot laps. And Richards is going for hot laps, and everyone who's 2 seconds, they're just learning how to maintain those tyre temps there. These are the people you need to worry about. Those people who are 2 seconds off the pace at the moment, they're the dark horses. They're the ones you're going to need to watch out in the race ones as well.
Oh, definitely. And the timing board is symptomatic of showing how good your one lap is. It's not an average. It's not a time of how these guys are driving 5 laps, 10 laps, etc. It's just one time. Manley could have very well just gone out and set a hot lap, seen the conditions, push them to the limits. He could be now out there just giving it a go, trying to learn a bit more, take the car a little bit further in terms of time and tyres. And further down the order, these could be drivers, like you say, who are just learning the conditions. We always talk about building up to the track, race direction before the drivers got into this practice session. As we see another slide, Daniel Handover kicking the rear of his Subaru out through the penultimate corner. But we talk about how you build up to the track limits. It's all very well and good going out there and trying to hammer the thing, as Handover seems to be doing again as the car rises up through Deer Leap and across the start-finish line. But building up to the conditions, learning where the track is, learning the limits of the track as well. We are going to be penalising drivers if they abuse track limits, particularly on the exit of Turn 1. There's not plenty of other opportunities to do that around the lap. But yeah, Manley's time at the moment, it looks great at 32.6, and it's nice to see that some drivers are close as Handover runs wide actually down the bottom of the hill through Cascades, pushing the limits. Yeah, you'd be amazed how very easy that is to do in these wet conditions, because you could miss your braking zone honestly by about a metre, and you just understeer wide and it just goes out. Because it's downhill as well, everything's against you, and once the tyres have drained off, later on in the race, that corner becomes very, very, very difficult. Here's Ben Bennyworth then, 5th place at the moment on track, just 9/100ths of a second off the fastest lap at the moment with 7.5 minutes to go. And of course, this is means nothing, but look at that. Purple sector 1 and 2 for Ben Bennyworth. Can he make this a pole position for practice? I mean, it means absolutely nothing. It's just practice, but bragging rights. He's got the pace. Bragging rights. Bragging rights. Yeah, and the other drivers will be aware of that as we see as he crosses the line. Let's see what time he can do here. 1:32.2, so straight to the top there, and by a healthy margin as well, 3.5 tenths. And really, that's a statement of intent from Ben. He's come out there, beat the time, and all the drivers will be aware of that. They'll be looking up and down their relatives, looking at the timing boards, and knowing that they've got to find that extra bit more now with Bennyworth going top. No, exactly that. It's one of those things that drivers got to watch out. And Steve Burton here and the other Ford. No, that's the Mercedes, isn't it? It looked like a Ford from the front, but now, no, I say it looked like a Ford from the front. There's a very clear big Mercedes badge on the front, so clearly I'm drunk. Clearly I'm drunk. I need to sober up. I'm not drunk. I'm very sober. No. I did drive here this morning. But yeah, Steve Byrne at the moment not on the quickest lap, but he's doing good progress. He exits the final corner over Deers Leap and over the start-finish line. What's it going to be? 1:43.0, and they're the times that I have to say people were doing in the Clios. Yes, unfortunately, I do feel like if I manage to set a lap faster than that, so someone's going to need to pick up the pace, because if I can do that, then yes, then not the finest of tours around the Oulton Park circuit. But Colin Talbot here running nice and wide, just dipping two wheels onto. There's almost a bit of AstroTurf, I want to say netting almost on the outside between the two right-handers. Oh, recreation of Matt Neil Gordon's shed in 2011, almost into the final corner there. The two Hondas colliding in the rain. We've seen this before, but managed to both keep their two cars on the racing surface, which didn't happen 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Oh, well remembered. I completely forgot about that. But, I spent my time, again, going very wide there is one of the Honda Civics. I'm not sure who that is he's racing with, because, of course, they're both in exactly the same livery. This is Colin Tower that we're looking at, so I have no idea. Because it's practice, it doesn't make it clear about who is directly behind you, because, of course, this is on best times. So it's not a race sort of situation where that person behind you is that person. But, yeah, so it makes it quite difficult to identify who it is if we're not watching them directly. But, yeah, it's on board there. So, the championship. Let's talk a little bit about the championship for this one, because points up for grab in each race. First place 20 points, 17 for second, 15 for third, 13 for fourth, and then 11, 10, 9 onwards for fifth, 7, 8. So it goes down in the order. Callum Cripps, like I say, leading the way in the championship with 143 points as they go into this race weekend or race day. But Ben Brown, who is here and is racing and is 7th currently, is second in the championship, 110 points. So he was quick in the Clios as well. He was smashing the Clios. He won the Clios actually. He was very quick. No one could match his pace. So keep an eye on Ben Brown, because, like you say, at the moment he is 7th, but like I say, he's just getting used to the conditions. Because when it comes to the race time, I guarantee he's up sharp end.
Definitely, and he's got all that data logged from the Clio races this morning as well. He'll be aware of the conditions, aware of the track, what it needs, where he can go, where he can place the car, where a curb is maybe something he wants to avoid, as opposed to absolutely clattering it in the dry. He will have all that data stored. As we see Charles Grout just running wide there on the exit of turn 1, and the BMW in the background doing exactly the same, if not worse. But he'll have that information logged, and he'll also be aware of how the tyres change. I feel like we're going to keep mentioning tyres, and I feel like if we speak to drivers at the end of this, they're going to mention tyres, because it's going to be crucial, making them last. And yeah, all that data logged for Ben Brown in terms of getting around the track, completing a race distance, and then and getting things strong towards the end of the race as well as the start.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, it looks like that is practice over at the moment. So drivers are out of their sims and getting themselves G'd up, ready for qualifying. And of course, qualifying 15 minutes long, so half the time they just had there for practice. There is your race director, Grant Lyman, who's currently doing a bit of a pep talk, I would say, to the drivers. Or is he promoting something?
It looks like a promotion, doesn't it?
It looks like a promotion.
It could be. I don't know if he's got a mixtape that he's about to release, but it looks like he's waving something at them. Potentially his new album about to be released.
If you scan this, I'll give you a Subway. Well done. No, excellent. Well, there you go. Always got to get it touch. There was me going, guys, that was really good. That was really good. You all learned your way around the track there. It was good. Conditions, good qualifying. Oh, and here is so it's the Milton Keynes Food and Leisure Awards. Now the Food and Leisure Awards. Now Simply Race has won previously the Food and Leisure Award for, what was the award? Best what? Sorry. Best leisure venue. There you go. Yeah, because obviously there's no food here. Yeah.
But an appetite for racing.
An appetite for racing, yes, that, and chocolate bars. But other than the chocolate bars, yeah, there isn't there. So the Leisure Award, of course, who did win that one as well. But simply submit your vote today. You can vote at mkfla.com/vote-now, or put that up to a camera, people scan the QR code, and there you go, jobs are good, and you don't need to type that one in. But yes, make sure you get your votes in and vote for Simply Race. Of course, a fantastic leisure facility here in the heart of Milton Keynes. New venue now in the Theatre District, not at Stacey Bush's. We're no longer there. There is more parking, there is more delight, there's more food options as well, other than a KFC or a Simply Race, KFC or a Subway. There are many, many, many more options now.
Yeah, crucial, isn't it, to keeping these sim races well fed is a vital part. Yes, of course, a lovely new venue here for Simply Race, and it's great to see all these new pods. We're looking at a fantastic setup. Everyone having a really good time here today. Looking forward to getting stuck into some action, and yeah, definitely go and vote for Simply Race, because an award we've previously won here, and why not pick up for a second time?
Oh yes, definitely so, definitely so. Right, now, one thing I quickly want to talk about, and that is the techie upgrades that these sims have got over the period of the venue being closed. So now each sim has got like a little LED box on the driver's side. That tells you flags, yellow flags, proximity sensors as well. No more excuses. I didn't know he was there. Oh, trust me, he's there this time, sunshine, because you can see it. It comes up with those little markers there, and I have to say, it worked tremendously in the Clios because I didn't crash with anyone, bar race one when there was a huge shunt. But we won't worry about that one.
No, I was involved in that, Ben. I was in the and I was in the middle of that, being spun around. But yeah, no excuses, and that was made clear as well by race direction. No excuses for contact. But there was the margin for a little bit of bumping, except that these are touring cars. They do it's a semi-contact sport, isn't it, touring cars to some extent. Paint is traded. Often the bodywork can come back looking a little bit more second-hand than it did when the race began. And yeah, there's no excuse with that tech, because it's so obvious, isn't it? You're driving, yes, you're focused on the screen. Yes, you're focusing on your turning, your braking, your downshifts, etc. But the LED lights are very bright in the dark room. And you can see that as well. It gives you the flag warnings as well. You can see when it's yellow flag. You can see when you're getting a blue flag, which is would be a shame if you're picking up a blue flag. Something would have gone wrong for you there. And the most demoralising is when you're 2 minutes down and the checkered flag appears and you realise you've got a whole nother lap to do and the leader is just across the line behind you. But yeah, a great little bit of tech that you can't avoid.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's a definite help out there. And as well, you've got the wind simulations, a little fan that's right next to you down there as well. The more you press that throttle, the more the fan revs up, you get a good breeze. And I have to say, it's very good at keeping you cool, because that was one thing that I always remembered in the old venues. It got very hot, it got very warm, it got very sticky, and it got very smelly in the room very quickly. Full of sim races. But not here. There's air conditioning everywhere. The sims have got fans on it. Stay cool, calm and collected all the way throughout, which is, I think, why we see less incidents now in the new venue.
Yeah, and it's super comfortable, isn't it? I mean, I've never sat in a proper sim like this until this morning, and I felt right at home straight away. And like you say, the little fan, I don't think we don't realise how important just a little breeze is when you're focusing. Just something maybe every now and then to reach your hand out to, a little bit of cool on the palm, as well as, I wouldn't suppose any of the drivers will be dipping their foreheads towards it to dampen the brow, etc. But yeah, nice, comfortable situation to be in. And like we say, it's so much fun to be out here, be here at Simply Race, taking part in competition. I'm sure all the drivers will be having a good time this afternoon.
No, exactly that, of course. Now, another thing that drivers have to remember in this championship, of course, is ballast. And ballast gets added to everyone, well, not everyone, but the top, how many is it? The top 10, it's top 10 that gets ballast, isn't it? So yes, if you win a race, 75 kilos, so basically me, in your car. If you come second, it's 66, third, 57, 48, 39, 33, 27, 21, 15, and 9 if you come 10. If you come 11th, you don't get any. So it's always a bonus on that one. But because we actually only have, I think, 10 drivers in this one, everyone's going to have weight on this time around. So that's going to be an interesting one. Now, you may be thinking, how do you determine who has the weight for race one? Because I've not done any races yet. That is done on the championship standing. So, of course, Ben Bennyworth, he's second in the championship. He'll have the 66 kilos. But, of course, we've got a lot of people who aren't here. So there'll be a lot of people who are further down in the championship who won't have any weight on at all, but could be starting second or third, or who knows. Yeah. So, this is a huge factor that drivers have got to put into.
Yeah, definitely. And it's almost free performance, isn't it? Having to carry, 10, 15 kilos less. Or in the example there, Ben Bennyworth, 66 kilos. There could be drivers out there with nothing. That's an incredible difference between how the car's going to handle, how it's going to feel. More importantly, over the race distance, that's really much, going to impact the car. Again, I'm going to say it again, and please do feel free to take a sip of your favourite beverage every time I say tyres. But again, across the race distance, that extra ballast is going to impact the tyres. And as well, in qualifying, you've got to lump that extra weight or an added DJ around, like you say. So yes, ballast is important, and also you come away from this with a better championship position. got to be aware you're going to be carrying more weight around with you the next round. So yeah, ballast is a crucial part of the competition.
100%. 100%. Right, so here looking at the overview of the circuit, you can see the very famous floating trees here at Oulton Park. They're a great feature of the circuit, I have to say. They've been there for many, many centuries. They've gone now. But,
unique to Cheshire, of course, yes, the floating trees.
Exactly. There is the podium where the drivers will be heading to, hopefully, later on today. Well, hopefully they will be heading there later on today, but who is the question? Who will be heading there later on? Again, if you're on the stream and you're a keyboard warrior, get your comments in. Let us know your predictions of who's going to be coming first, second, third in these races. We'd love to know what you think. I'm sure the Ben Brown fan club is out there and wanting to hear. We've not heard much from the Ben Brown fan club at the moment. So wherever they are in the world, please do get your comments in, because again, we'd love to hear from you. Of course. Right, so I think qualifying is going to get underway in just a moment. Again, drivers are talking, confirming strategies maybe, because there are teammates in here as well. There's a lot of the CamSport drivers, but whether or not they're going to be working together in this one is a crucial thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another opportunity as well, just to potentially play a little bit of a double bluff. We can chat. You're in the same room with these people now. You're not potentially playing, over an online race. You're in the same room. You can just maybe lay a few kind of markers here and there that your car is a little bit worse over the race distance, or you're struggling with tyres, when in fact you're actually finding that they're perfect and they're going very well. And then come that point in the race, you might be able to pounce and make another position. But yeah, look, you can see that the drivers are just taking a little quick break. We're going to be getting on with qualifying shortly, and excited to see how qualifying goes as well, because one lap, make or break, everything on the line, and in the conditions that we've seen, it's all the more treacherous and all the more likely to make a mistake and ruin your best lap.
Yeah, exactly that. Sean King comments in, working together, ? We only do that in the Endurance Championship, of course. CamSport, they try to work together in the Endurance Championship. Sometimes they fail with that aspect as well, but nevertheless. They may have won the last race, apparently, but
I feel like there's some. I feel like there's some stories here I might have missed, some little ongoings between these, some simply race lore, shall we say, that has been missed. But yeah. Working together. Well, we do see that in touring cars, don't we? We do see teammates working together. And like we say, we've seen the Hondas of Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden over the years working together for Championship. BMWs, Colin Turkington, etc. working together. It's not uncommon for teammates to work together in touring cars, but with such a small grid, with the opportunities for points, like we say, for Championship contenders are missing, why not just go for yourself? Just get yourself the best points, and if that means maybe just upsetting a teammate a little bit, well, they'll forget about it by the next race.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I'm sure we'll get some classic Talladega night moments of slingshot engaged and sending one down the inside, maybe. Who knows? I'd quite like to see it, because these conditions, like we say, very, very, very treacherous here as well. Now, more comments coming in. I've not read it yet, so I'm going to quickly read it. So, Sean comes in again. I mean, Chris Wilson and Colin Talbot have previous for killing each other in Clios. Well, I have to say, they are both currently still alive and are currently both in a simulator at the moment. Well, I say they're in a simulator. They are talking to each other beside the simulator. That tall figure you can just see in the middle, the second from the right, that is Ben Brown, the Ben Brown fan club, the winner of the Clios earlier on today, which unfortunately you didn't see, which is a huge shame, but it was recorded, so maybe keep an eye out for that one in the future. Stay tuned, and if you haven't, subscribe so you don't miss out on that one. But yeah, drivers you can see chatting and just deciding what they're going to do in terms of race one. Positioning, overtaking maneuvers, maybe. This is where I'll allow you to do it. This is where I won't allow you to do it. Or, who knows what they could be talking about.
Yes, and we can speculate as much as we like, but at the end of the day, the talking will be done in the sims, won't it? They're having a chat, talking to each other about what might be going on, but I'm sure we're going to have plenty of exciting racing ahead of us. And the inclement conditions have really played in already in the Clios. We saw, just the rain changing, particularly towards the middle of the race. It went from, we're talking about 20% rain to 100% full heavy downpour. And if we get that again in the touring cars, I feel like that's going to play a big hand into who will come out on top, because that is an opportunity for the momentum pendulum to swing the other way. Someone might just be a little bit more on top of it. Someone else might struggle, just a bit more with the added rain, pace deficit, pace changing towards the end of the race, and come the checkered flag. We see it all the time in touring cars, don't we? That the order going into the final 5 minutes is rarely the same order come the checkered flag. And with the rain out there today, I feel like that's going to be even more so in the 3 races ahead of us.
Exactly that. So, as you can see from these live pictures here at Simply Race, the drivers have taken their seats once more, and qualifying for round 4 of the Simply Race British Touring Car Championship is about to get underway. Who will take pole position? Who will start race 1 on the top spot? Lewis Manley has been quick in previous years, but has struggled recently, of course, with new weather conditions. First time we've had wet conditions really in the championship. It's been so lucky with previous rounds that we take the live weather from the circuit, and every other round has been dry. Really, we've not had a wet round on top of it. So this is a first for a lot of these drivers, these wet conditions. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that one and see who comes up on top. You can see there the wipers on the cars there, flapping furiously in those wet conditions. You see the rain on there. It is very, very tough, but we're about to get this underway. You'll see it on your screen appear right now. Here we go then, 15 minutes of qualifying, and at the moment we can't tell you anything because they're only leaving pit lane.
Well, Ben Benniwer heading out nice and early just to get himself out on track, clean air, but also clear spray. He's not following a car that's kicking up that water, the rooster tails behind these touring cars, and just blocking your vision, braking zones, apexes, etc. But Ben heading out to find himself some nice clear road and clear Oulton Park circuit laying before him. Still wet though, still raining I do believe as well, so it doesn't look like we're going to be drying up, or the option to switch to slick tyres is more than often out the window as he kicks the rear out there of his number 99 BMW, just displaying the lack of grip out on track.
Well, yeah, and of course you've got to remember cold tyres on this first lap, and this being a rear-wheel drive car and traction control and stability control being banned, they're not allowed to use it. That's going to be a tough car to drive. As I say, the BMWs, I think, are the only rear-wheel drive car on this grid of cars that we've got. Oh, apparently there's another one. The Vorg, the old Scooby. I always forget about the Scooby. Old Scooby-Doo. There is Colin Talbot. Front-wheel drive Honda Civic. Always got to watch out the understeer, because, of course, the BMWs can look after their tyres. Same with the Vorgs. They can look after their tyres a little bit better. The front wheels, obviously the front wheel's a little bit better. Rear wheels, they may struggle a bit. But, of course, front wheel is more important, I think, because of course you've got to get these cars around the corner first, so it's a bit of a juggle for that one. So these drivers, it's going to be a tough one whether or not. What do we think? Rear wheel drive here better or front wheel drive?
I do feel like the rear wheel drive will be the better option, particularly across the course of the race in these low grip conditions. Quite simply, the front wheel drive cars, the front wheels are doing the power and the turning. At least in a rear wheel drive car, you split that burden from front to rear. And I feel like it's more easy to manage across the course of a race distance. But front-wheel drive cars, I feel, will be screaming towards the end, as it looks like we could have a spinner already at T1 just out of camera shot. It looked like one of the Hondas went round. So as we see, Daniel Handover going wide at Cascades, 2 wheels onto the grass, and the Levorgs all the way off, just back in home territory there for the Subaru, off into the grass.
The Subaru?
Subaru, yeah.
Is that
the Scooby-Doo and the Subaru.
Yeah, I was going to say, new breed of car there. Half dog, half car. There we go. Well, of course, qualifying being underway, and of course, drivers are going to be keeping an eye on those tyres. And of course, you may find that a lot of these drivers will pit quite often to, get those new tyres back on the car. They'll do a hot lap. They'll rinse the tyres as much as possible. They'll come in, they'll change it. As we see Charles Grout there, out braking himself into the hairpin. Again, very easily done, because, again, you don't want to scrub these tyres. So if you out brake yourself, you don't want to ram the steering to one side, because you'll just heat those tyres up. You'll flat spot them super quickly, and before you know it, you're going to need a new set after about 5 laps. So, these drivers have really got to pay attention to that one. And again, like we say, take a sip of your favourite drink with every time that we say tyres, yeah. You'll be, if your favourite drink is a sherry, you'll be drunk in no time. Yes. There we go. So, 11 and a half minutes remaining. We go on board with Steve Burton, and the driver name in this one is Vehicle. So, there we go. The driver is Vehicle. But it's Steve Burton. There we go.
We can confirm it is Steve Burton, not drive a vehicle driving this one.
No, exactly.
It's our Simply Ray's version of first name, last name, isn't it?
No, exactly that. On board the Mercedes, out of the final corner, up the hill. Again, crucial exit out of the final corner, because if you get it wrong, you get very sluggish up the hill. Cross the line then, first lap, it is a 1:35.104. Green-purple sectors puts him 5th place at the moment, 1 second down from Manley, who's got the fastest time at the moment of a 1:34.077 on provisional pole. Matt Richards is there in 2nd place, only 8 thousandths of a second off from Manley.
Very close indeed, but there's still plenty of time, not only left in the session, but plenty of time, I feel, in these individual lap times. We saw 32s in practice, and here we are on 34. So there's still a pace to be found, and I wouldn't be surprised to see drivers improving, as we see Matt Richards purple in the first sector in the Zansho Simsport #1 Honda Civic, and on the run in towards Druids into the right hander, double right there, gets the car over the crest on the exit nicely, doesn't run all the way off the track, which is so easy to do, then hammered down the gears into the final right-hander at Lodge, and then down and up over Deer Leap. Such an exciting section of track to round out the lap. Purple sector 2 as well, and as he comes to the line, it's going to be a 1:33.4 from Matt Richards, top of the pile, and 3 tenths in it ahead of Bennyworth, and then Manley a further 3 tenths back.
Yep, so it's all changing around at the moment, and as you're seeing there, front-wheel drive at the sharp end for first place. Now that is a crucial one. Here's Ben Brown, 6th place at the moment. So was slow in practice, but of course won the Clios. He's used to that front-wheel drive. This time, a little bit more power, a little bit more weight, of course, because he's got that. I'm not sure if he's got the weight penalties on it in qualifying. I think it's only in the race that he actually gets that. So at the moment, though, 6 tenths down in the first sector alone. It is tricky out there.
It does indeed look particularly treacherous, but these drivers are certainly giving it a good go. We've seen them sliding around and through the chicane there. Ben Brown looking very much on it, but then through the final, the third part, the right-hander that rounds out that complex, the car just seems to understeer for him, not quite as close to the apex as I'm sure he would have liked. He was a good half a car's width away from the curb, as now he comes into this final sector, manages to slow the car down. Hasn't improved in the first 2 sectors of this lap, so we'll be hoping that Ben can find some time here in this run down towards the final 2 corners into the right-hander and over the crest. Looks fairly clean, but again, not remarkable, I would say. And it seems immediately he's unhappy with that lap, pulls across to pit lane and heads down to his pit box.
Ben Bennyworth in the rear-wheel drive BMW crosses the line. He takes a new provisional pole, lap 1:33.295. So there you go again, battle between rear and front wheel drive, still very, very close. You just see the drivers are on such equal pace out there. It's great to see. Daniel Handover as well, 3rd place for him in the 43. He's in the Subaru. So of course, that's showing that the rear wheel drive is working well here. We'll stay with Ben Bennyworth just to see what he can do sector 1 this time around, because of course this is an old set of tyres now. He's done his first lap in. A lot of people would pit for a brand new set. Out of the hairpin, this is where the sector point is. Look at that, another purple sector, 1 tenth down from his fastest time here as well. So Ben Bennyworth here looking good in the BMW.
Indeed, and again, look, it's I hate to use the word uneventful, but when in the wet as well, if you're sliding and drifting and finding yourself all kind of squirrely and all over, every single inch of tarmac sideways, looking out of the side windows, to your left monitor, say, sometimes that's just slow in the wet. You need to just be controlled on the line, keep the car all sensible and under control, and that's where the pace will be. Purple sector 1, but like you say, he's lost time there in sector 2. Yeah,
you can just see there the back end stepping out, so it just shows a very fine line of controlled or out of control, really, here in these wet conditions. It is very, very tough. Missing the apex there at the final corner as well. I expect you'll see Ben Bennyworth coming into the pit lane. We do. He's coming in for a fresh set of boots. Of course, track condition isn't going to improve. It is wet. It will stay wet all the way throughout this. So there'll be no chance of going on to slicks. I tried to go on slicks earlier in the qualifying to just say, you know what, I feel like it's dried out enough. Oh, it hadn't. It hadn't dried out at all. It was still 97% saturated out there. And I found out very quickly when I went into turn 1 and stacked it. Back with Steve Burton, 9th place at the moment in qualifying. 1.8 seconds off, but has had personal best sectors 1 and 2. Is he going to come? Oh no, he's going to come into the pit. So not happy with the time, even though he had good sectors in that one as well. Here's Colin Talbot, 10th at the moment, 2.3 seconds off in the front-wheel drive Honda Civic, working well at the moment. You just see there managing the temps, hugging it very close to the apex there, trying to clip both of them through the penultimate corner in towards the final bend now. Very tricky corner, this one. Again, way too hot into the corner there. You've got to brake super early. And again, are we going to see Colin Talbot come in for a fresh set? No, he's going to stay out. He crosses the line. Oh, this is his out lap, so he's now starting his lap. Okay, I didn't spot that one. Yeah, there we go. On board with Ben Brown, the 7th place at the moment. You can see there the furious wipers flashing with that rain pouring down here at Oulton Park. Currently on a personal best sector in Sector 1. Taken 6/10 off his best time, so something tells me he's not set a good time yet. But his target times are 1:32.811, which of course is the pole position from Manley in the front-wheel drive Honda Civic.
Definitely finding time though here as he comes into the final sector, into the double right-hander. Lost time though through the middle sector has Ben Brown. So overall, I think he might be very close for matching, well, for actually going fast. 6/10 up in the first sector, lost 5/10 though in the second. So there is a 10th gain in there, and at the moment though, it's half a second for the next position, Brown, and then it's Grout who's in 6th in the double O at Honda Civic. But across the line, does he improve? Yes, a 34.074 for Ben Brown. And he does jump up to 6th place, so an improvement there. And all of that came pretty much in the final third of the lap. Just shows you how the wet conditions, the rain, if you can just master a couple more corners and if you just get it a little bit better than you did on the previous lap, time comes flooding your way.
No, exactly that. Getting the car tucked in is the crucial part of it, and if you miss that opportunity, you'll just understand, you'll wash out wide and you'll lose a tremendous amount of time. We're talking seconds, even though it doesn't look like you've lost a lot of time. Trust me, you lost a lot. Here's Chris Wilson then, another Cam Sport driver in the 68 Ford Focus. There you go, get my cars right there. I'll get them wrong all the way throughout the day, I guarantee it. 9th place at the moment, 2.1 seconds down at this time being. Only 4 minutes left in qualifying though, so he's not got a lot of time to get this lap in. He has set personal best sectors in sectors 1 and 2. It's a good exit out of the final corner up the hill. What's it going to be when we get to the line? 9th place at the moment, crosses the line, moves up, doesn't move up. Oh, he does move up, sorry. He goes into 8th place, 1:34.381. So a small improvement, but again, it's just getting those last tenths here, there, everywhere. It is very tough.
Well, you look at the midfield there, from handover in 4th down to 9th place. There's a second in it, so a 10th here or there is really going to help you in terms of grid position. As Ben Brown crosses the line, he improves a 33.7, jumps up to 4th place, so usurps handover from that second row starting position. And the margins between this midfield are very close indeed. And like I say, get one corner better than you did on your previous best lap, and you can just find time coming your way and find those grid positions also coming your way.
Exactly that. Less than 3 minutes to go then of qualifying here at Oulton Park. And at the moment, Richards is leading. He's on provisional pole. He's clear by 0.2 of a second. We look here at Daniel Handover in the rear-wheel drive Subaru, and you can see there fighting his way around the final corner. He's lost a bit of time in Sector 2. What will it be when he crosses the line? We'll see. It is a 1:32.994. Puts him provisional, or P3 at the moment, 0.4 down from Richards. But the main thing you have to remember at this moment in time, with us ending qualifying, Richards and Manley both front-wheel drive. Back here with Manley, who's on an out lap. He's about to start another flying lap. Is he going to go for Richards?
Definitely. Well, he's got 2 attempts at it with just 2 minutes on the clock. He'll finish this one. Then if he's got anything left in those tyres, he'll go for a second one, I'm sure of it. out of the first corner, down the hill, over this bump in the braking zone. So easy just to snatch a wheel or kick a slide out, as he does again through the left-hander at Cascades and onto this straight down towards the island hairpin. Lewis Manley definitely pushing the limits of his car on this hot lap, down towards the hairpin, rattles down the gearbox, keeps it nice and tight to the right-hand apex, and then applies the throttle. It's such an easy opportunity to loop the car or push out wide. Purple sector 1, he is improving.
Yep, the 2/10 up on the fastest lap out there from Richards is 1:32.590. So this potentially could be beaten very, very quickly out of this corner here. Now again, taking a lot of that inside curb there, but it does hook the car around, and it's a crucial one, especially in these front-wheel drive cars. You can hook it onto that inside curb. Yeah, you can get the back end stepping out, and that's what you need. Then you come round here in towards now the double right-hander. Again, clipping the first apex, getting it back round, clipping the second. Again, still purple, but look how close it is. 0.03 of a second between themselves in towards the final braking zone. Second gear for this one, I think, in these cars. Maybe it could be third. I'm not too sure. It was second in the Clios. Out of the penultimate corner, up Dearsley, cross the start-finish line. What is the time going to be? Is it going to be pole position? It is, with a 1:32.361, 2/10 faster than Richards, but 30 seconds to go. Richards still has an opportunity to get pole position back. Keep an eye on Ben Bennyworth as well, because he set good times as well. So keep an eye on this one. But Lewis Manley finishes his lap, and as you see there, he's run wide, so he's not going to get another lap in, I don't suspect. So here with Ben Willis, 7th place at the moment. He is down at the moment 0.7 of a second through sectors 2. So I don't think we're going to see an improvement here from Willis. Massively overcooking the final corners as well. So that lap's gone. Ben Brown, 6th place as checkered flag goes out. This one's going to be crucial. Ben Brown has managed to get another lap in, so he's on his last lap here. Where is Richards, though? That's the most crucial one, because Richards, I think, is still out on circuit. He's not. He's in the pit lane. He is out of qualifying. He is not going to improve on Manley. So Manley at the moment on provisional pole, but what can Ben Brown do?
Doesn't look like there's too much time in it at the moment on this final attempt. Let's look at Ben Brown on the exit of the hairpin. Let's see, down in the first sector, so he's going to have to pull a few rabbits out of the hat in the final 2/3 of this lap to get anywhere near the front row. Currently 6th, 1.3 seconds down, as we see Daniel Handover, purple sector 2, personal best sector 3. He jumps up to 3rd place on the grid, so an improvement at the death there for Daniel Handover. With Ben Brown, though, looking to kick on and see if he can find time in this final half of the lap. As we see Chris Wilson crosses the line to failed sectors and a 3rd. Yes, again, not improving, so a shame there. But here's Ben Brown, the man on the move at the moment.
Indeed, indeed. So Manley's pitted as well. Bennyworth is still out on track with Handover, Grout. Brown is out on track still. Burton's still out on track. And Wilson as well, who's obviously just taken the checker flag. Ben Brown, though, out of the final corner. It's not a good sectors 1 and 2. Is he going to take the line? He is going to go for the line. He crosses the line. Does he improve for 6th place? He doesn't. He stays in P6, 1:34 out there for him. Here is Steve Burton. He's on his final hot lap as well. He's 1 second down, though. Charles Grout crosses the line 5th at the moment, 1:53.6. So, yeah, very slow lap there. So, no time gained. Steve Burton, though, the last driver, I think, on a hot lap here. But it's a very slow sectors 1 and 2.
Look at this. He's going to have to find ample time if he wants to improve.
He's given up.
He's slowing down, so he's given up. And look at the grid order there. It's so close. Less than what, 0.5 of a second, basically, between Bennyworth and Manley. We've got plenty of racing ahead of us. Looking forward to it. It should be very good. I think Steve Burton was going for a practice start, which is a good idea, you know, because learning how to get these cars off the line in these wet conditions is very vital. Because if you put too much power down, you'll just wheel spin off the lines, and of course getting the temperatures up is quite crucial. Now, a lot of things one thing that I noticed very promptly, there is a rundown of the order there for you. Oh, is it not the order? No, okay. It was just a page with names on it. There we go. In the commentary box of that one.
Yeah, exactly that. So a great qualifying then that we've seen, and I'm sure a great first race that we're going to see in a little bit later on. So stick around for that one. 30 minutes of racing for race one, of course, a long old time out there, of course. But, you know, what do you think's going through some of these drivers' head now in terms of drive? They've done practice, they've done qualifying, yeah, they've got used to these wet conditions now. What is it going to mean in terms of sort of looking after those tyres again? Because again, that's going to be the crucial one.
Definitely, and we see, especially in this 3-race format that we're so used to in touring car events, that race one can really just set the stall and set the tail for your race event. If you do well in race one, you find yourself again up the order in race two, and then potentially not losing out too much with the reverse grid. So the drivers want to maximise the result in race one. Again, doesn't matter if you're at the front of the field in qualifying or towards the end, plenty of opportunity to make up positions in this opening 30-minute race, plenty of time to do so as well. And like we say, with this tyre situation, with the weather, 30 minutes feels like an awfully long time if the car starts getting away from you in that second half. You really have to, I feel some of the drivers are going to have to curb their enthusiasm at the start here, not go out all guns blazing, not get really stuck into battles. Take their time, let the opportunities present themselves to them, and really just make sure they can keep the car's pace good across the 30 minutes. It's almost like a 400-meter race in the in the Olympics. You see some sprinters will go out and they will sprint as fast as they can and then just suffer towards the end, and you see some athletes almost staggering across the finish line, but you see some go out and pace the 400. I feel we're going to have a race like that, pace it across the 30 minutes, keep the car as best as possible for as long as possible, and pick up some healthy points towards the end of the race.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with that one. Of course, when they go out racing, turn one's quite vital. Of course, your braking zone massively changes, of course, but the rear-wheel drive cars are going to have to watch out, because if you get a rear wheel onto that Astro, onto that dirty part, of course, it's very, very easy to lose the back end. With the front-wheel drive cars, they can slightly get away with it because, of course, they can get back on that power and it kind of just pulls them back onto the track. The rear-wheel drive cars will definitely have to watch out for that one. It's a 50-50 of who's going to take it, but yeah, a very, very exciting race one, I think, is upon us.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, we've got these unique characteristics between the cars. We've got the difference between the front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, and we'll see plenty of that playing out across the course of the race, with conditions changing. Drivers currently having a briefing. They get having a little talking to from Grant, just a heads up on how he expects the race to be run. Doesn't want any contact, any people's races ruined by malicious behaviour out on track. And actually, we heard from Grant briefly before the broadcast went live. He gave us a rundown of what he's going to be looking out for, and he said, look, drivers, they're allowed to make contact. He doesn't want drivers complaining about being bumped here and there, because he said that's touring cars, that's how we race in these cars. Grant, is looking for instance where there is contact and a driver, their race is damaged, they're pushed off the track. So he's aware that these cars bump into each other. He's aware that touring car racing can get a little bit feisty. And it was interesting to hear from him pre-race that the door's open basically for some of that racing. But crucially, turn one, your 3 races start here with a good run away from the grid and a good run through the first corner.
Exactly that. Here's a look then at the grid. They whiz past your screen and you can just see there the last of them lining up. Now, of course, these drivers got a warm-up lap. They can get the tyres up to temperature, but they don't want to burn it. Again, there's another look at the grid. Ben Bennyworth on pole position, Lewis Manley alongside, Matt Richards there in 3rd place, Daniel Handover 4th place on that grid. Like I say, when did Ben Bennyworth get onto pole position? He snuck through on that one, didn't he? Charles Grout on 5th place with Ben Brown alongside in the 6th place spot. Then it's Ben Willis and Steve Burton in that Mercedes. The final 2 spots on the grid on row number 5, Colin Talbot and Chris Wilson, going to be fighting furiously together. They always have a good little scrap, don't they?
Well, look, you see on these the warm-up laps, I noticed it earlier in the Clios, some drivers just weren't interested in weaving or trying to generate any heat, because I suppose in doing that, you knock crucial percentages off that tyre wear. If you even just pick up 2%, tyre wear on this formation lap. It's not part of the race. That's 2%. You don't just carry in your back pocket towards the end of the race. As you can see, Ben Pennyworth not weaving too much. Just as I say that, he decides to start going from left to right. But yeah, plenty of drivers taking quite a sedate formation lap.
Now, what I found in the Clios, instead of weaving to put temperature in the tyres, what you can do is you accelerate brake or ride the brake, superheat the brakes up, and that actually heats the tyres up from the inside out. So that's a way of heating the tyres up, not quickly, but it heats them up enough, and the brakes, of course. So for turn 1, you've got nice hot brakes. You stop on a dime at turn 1, which is quite crucial. But yeah, that was a way of heating those tyres up without weaving all over the place, potentially spinning, because you definitely don't want to be seen spinning on the formation lap. That is a definite no-go on that one. It's definitely an effing chat, I think, if anyone did spin on the formation lap. We definitely don't want to see that one. But race 1 is upon us. They're making their way round, and they'll be lining up onto their grid spots in just a moment. This part is, this is the moment. This is where you really start to focus in, get dialed down, think, what am I going to do into turn 1? Am I going to go to the inside? Am I going to go to the outside? What's going to happen? Is there going to be a huge shunt? Is there, is there not? It's a lot of things going through your head.
Plenty of skill, obviously, involved in the starts, but also it's somewhat of a mental game, because you can just get flustered, go, oh, okay, I'm P3 on the grid safe, Matt Richards, and go, yeah, I could make a move into turn 1. I could be, competing for the race lead after a corner. But it's about keeping calm, keeping in control, and maximising that start and really setting up your race and the 30 minutes ahead.
Exactly that. Well, we're about to get underway in 5 seconds time. Race 1 of round 4 is going to get underway. The revs rise, the lights will go out, and we are underway for race 1 here at Oulton Park. Great start off the line by Pennyworth. Manley cuts across the nose of Richards as well. Here goes Handover though, round the outside of Richards. Is he going to try and get that move done? No, he doesn't. Stays behind. Oh, but there's a little bit of contact between Handover and Grout, and they've both gone off the track. So there's a big gap now between the top 3 who have already managed to break away. 3 wide into Cascades. Steady on, boys. I know it's only the start of the race, but careful through here now, side by side. Handover looks like he's lost the most out of that one, but at the moment a good start from the front. Pennyworth leading, and Richards goes down the outside into the braking. Can he get that car hooked in on the inside? Manley holds on to it side by side. It's going to be who can get out the corner the fastest, and it's Richards. What an overtake round the outside on the first lap.
Fantastic move from Richards there, late on the brakes, and just used the track that was open up to him and managed to get a brilliant exit out of the hairpin and all the way down the straight, just gaining time and gaining position on Manley. So Richards up to second. Pennyworth doing what he needed to do off that standing start, hold the lead, but here is the challenger, Matt Richards, closing the gap within a space of, 2-3 corners. So it's 2 for the lead, 1.1 seconds back to Manley.
Yep, great start then from the entirety of the field. No huge big shunts, which we were expecting, if I wasn't have to be brutally honest on that one. But no, we didn't see it. Now, this is the crucial part, because now what does Richards do? Does he keep pushing now really hard and wearing those front tyres down quickly in these first couple of moments to try keep up or potentially overtake Pennyworth, or does he hold back and hold on to these tyres and make sure they don't run out? With what I'm seeing right now, it looks like he is not holding back, because he is going for a move here. Defensive goes Pennyworth slightly over the start-finish line, slots back into the normal racing line, no positions gained, but Richards, great exit, slight bit of contact between the two of them. Pennyworth has got to watch out, because that rear-wheel drive car, if it gets any slight bit of love tap contact, that car is going around.
And down the hill, look, Richards is keen to get through, and again on the exit and onto the long straight towards the island hairpin, he's looking to the outside. Pennyworth defending heavily to the inside. They are too wide into the hairpin. Can Richards do a repeat manoeuvre, the same he did on Manley? No. He decides to try and cut back on the exit and get a good run out of the corner, and as we cut further down the order, Daniel Handover going side by side with Talbot on the exit of the hairpin, but he slots in behind and on the run down towards the chicane, actually looking to the inside in the Subaru. They are side by side into the right. Got to be careful of the tyre bundle, and then through the left, Talbot kind of closing the door on the exit, forcing Handover out wide and sliding through. Chris Burton gets through, and around the outside, the yellow and black Mercedes getting past the Subaru, so position gained. And that's what we see when the racing's so close. Go for a move, you find yourself losing positions as opposed to gaining.
Yeah, it was a great lunge there for Burton, taking full advantage of that battle between Handover and Talbot, and unfortunately Handover again losing out the most in this race after looking promising in qualifying. Has managed to lose out quite the most. Now, of course, Manley's now in a bit of a stale zone. He's there, P3. He has got Willis there very close behind, another Honda Civic. So again, 2 front-wheel drive cars. BMW leading from 3 Civics, and again, Willis going slightly wide out of T1. And what Manley's got to do now is he's just got to concentrate. He's just got to keep his temps good, keep his temps cool, because of course as soon as Richard and Bennyworth start battling again, they'll start to lose time. He can capitalise and he can close that gap as well. That is going to be what you want to see. Manley's he's in a mental game right now. Here's a replay of the start then. This is what happened to Daniel Handover. So you can see Handover got a great start off the line, goes side by side, tries to take the long way round at turn 1. Runs a little bit wide, the back steps out, and unfortunately that is when he came to cropper with, I think it was Grout who he was with there, and unfortunately that was the first mistake that we've seen in the race so far. And again, like we say, it was Handover who took the most of it.
Exceptionally costly as well off the start. Exactly, I like to say what you said about at the start, getting a rear-wheel drive a little bit over the curb, and it can fight and it can kick you out. Exactly what happened to the Lavorg there of Handover, who's now at the bottom of the order, and he's in 10th place. He's got a lot of work to do from 4th back to the bottom of the order. 25.5 minutes just short of that to go. Plenty of time to do it, but as we see, running wide on the exit there, 2 wheels into the grass. He's got to keep it clean because it's going to come back to bite him, I feel, later in the race. Pushing the car this hard and pushing the tyres is certainly going to hurt in the final few minutes. Indeed.
Back at the front then, Matt Richards takes the new fastest lap of the race, 1:33.2, and you can see here rear view there of the shot. It was getting very close. You can see there Daniel Handover still trying to get past Wilson. Wilson not making it easy. Oh, a little bit wide there from Richards as they exit Cascades down the straight and into the braking zone of the hairpin. Very late under brakes. Is it a lunge? No, it isn't. That would have been a very bold move. Out of the corner, here we go. Little bit of a tail kick from Bennyworth. Holds onto it though because he can get on that power a little bit sooner, because that front wheel drive, of course, if the wheel is turned, you can't put the power down. You have to wait until the steering is straight as you can put the power down.
It's a complete reverse, isn't it? You can kick the power in the BMW rear wheel drive car just to get the rotation you need, but in the front wheel drive Honda, you've got to almost resist trying to put the throttle down. You've got to just accept that the car's turning at whatever rate it is, try and apply the throttle, and you just end up pushing yourself off the track. It's self-inflicted. But Matt Richards is really eager to make a move. I've seen him race in other series, and he's doing exactly what we know Matt Richards can do, which is just hassle, just be there in the mirrors, filling them, looking to the inside here and there, just trying to irk that driver into making a mistake. But we'll be interested to see if Matt can continue this pace or whether he'll lose out later on.
Indeed. Here is a replay then of what happened between Handover and Wilson into this very complex section here, side by side, and you can just see there, it's so tight, it's very crucial, but it looked like Handover managed to get that move done. So moving back up into P9 and getting that job done. Now, what's happened here? Because Richards has taken the lead. Bennyworth has had an issue and has gone awry somewhere on the circuit. So we will try and find out what exactly happened. But at the moment, it is Richards leading the way. This is a crucial part, of course, because now here's a replay of what actually happened. So what was it? Into turn 1, rear wheel drive, loses the back slightly, gets on that grass, and there you go, the back steps out. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. You got to watch out with the power out of that final corner, because it can really cost you.
And then Richards just swooped to the inside, got past, was able to take the Optimum Racing line into turn 2. He's through now. The question is, can Richards keep up the pace? Can he start gapping Bennyworth? I would have said that potentially Richards had a little bit more pace. As we see, Steve Burton running very wide on the exit of the chicane. That's going to open the door for Handover. They are side by side over the crest. And then into the double right hand. A contact between the two of them. That's going to unsettle Burton into the right hand. It gets the job done. Holds on to the position for now. But Handover wants to make the pass. And he wants to pounce whilst Burton is rattled. But Richards, he's got to put the hammer down now. Gap Bennyworth, because he'll want to return the favour and want to get that lead back.
hand over that position, he's screaming from that Lavorg, and it's not being done lightly. So Burton is holding on to that one. Yes, yeah, hand in your head for that one. Did you disapprove of my pun there?
I've used that one before. I've actually commentated Danny on another series, and I said that one and got potential, thousands of groans in the chat. And I feel them around me as I said it, but actually he has got the move done now into turn one, so the position has well and truly been handed over there to Burton.
There we go. So 21.5 minutes to go then of race one, and it's been a dramatic start of this race. There has been incidents all the way through, but fairly tame, I would say. Richards is holding on to the lead now. He's taken that from Bennyworth after a slight incident out the exit of turn one between himself and the rear-wheel drive of his car. But yeah, he's back now in position, second place, 1.3 seconds down. Crucial thing that you're going to have here is, again, handover trying to get through this pack quickly. Tries to move on Talbot. Can't quite do it there. Stays behind. What Richard's got to worry about now is, did he push those front wheels too hard at the start of that race? Is he going to suffer in the later parts? Because when it gets to around 10 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go, you'll find once the tyres get to around 30%, 40%, they start to fall off the cliff. And that's the crucial part. Again, handover really fighting hard here to try and get past Talbot, and that's allowing Burton to close back up again. Of course, the Mercedes is front wheel drive as well. 3 wide here. I think Talbot's backed out of it. No, Talbot, of course, he hasn't backed out of it. Oh, no, but he's gone wide and he's pushed handover off the track, and he's had to hand over those positions once again because he's back down now to P10.
It's not going his way at all, is it, this race one? Handover rather shoved off track.
Oh, no, there's more contact.
Yes, still around again. Burton off as well. So there's another 2 positions for handover. He's got them back. I haven't seen what actually happened there between the Mercedes and Honda, but I get the feeling it was just shenanigans that continued from the final corner, up over the crest, up over the start-finish line. And they were actually facing the wrong way before they'd even got to turn one, so potentially contact between them on the straight, and proximity markers, like we said, in these new sim rigs, so no excuses for making contact in a straight line.
Here's a replay of what happened there between Burton and Talbot. You can see there side by side. Oh, there you could see Talbot there with a big move of the wheel, came across the front, and again, just that top speed of the cars through here, and that is how quickly it can go wrong here at Oulton Park. And like I say, Burton actually came across that one fairly okay, got that car facing the right way, and got that one back out the right way.
The driver that will be smiling is Chris Wilson, who has gone from the back of the grid. He's just picked up a couple of positions so easily by doing nothing but driving cleanly and letting the fireworks kick off around him.
So, news from race control. Now, I said it looked like Talbot had moved across, but from race control, who have got many more camera angles and can see telemetry and everything like that, say it was actually Burton who turned left into Colin Talbot. So Burton has going to be receiving a drive-through penalty for that contact at turn one.
Confirmation on screen there as we see the 2 Hondas going side by side down the run. Ben Brown managing to hold on to it. Grout, although sliding off in through the gravel. That's a shame there. But yet, drive-through penalty is going to be so costly. Not only was he caught up in the drama, but now has had to trundle through pit lane. Lots of time lost, but he'll be looking forward now already with only less than half of this first race done. He'll have his sights set on race 2 and race 3.
Yeah, so Grout struggling with the front end of his Honda Civic, and again, it's about this time where if you have really scrubbed those tyres hard, this is about the time where they start to go off. Because yes, we've got 17 minutes left of this half-hour race, but you can really destroy these tyres in 3 laps and then they're gone.
Definitely. I mean, they're already going to be feeling it. They're already going to have to start thinking about how the tyres are. Looking at the timing screen, we've seen that personal best sectors have come and gone now. We've had that peak, and now they're really just going to start surviving this second half of the race. The gap has really ebbed and flowed between Richards and Bennyworth for the race lead. At one point it went out to 1.9 seconds, but it seemed to have tumbled back down to half a second. So the race leaders are well and truly together on track. Richards leading for now, but like we say, did he take too much out of the tyres hustling Bennyworth in the opening few laps? Because now that's really going to start coming back to bite him as he attempts to defend his position as opposed to be the aggressor and game on.
There we go, and speaking of that battle, we go on board with Bennyworth and the rear-wheel drive BMW down the back straight in towards the heavy braking zone of the hairpin. Again, no lunges here, but there a mistake from Richards, and that just shows you that front wheels, they're going already. I think he's pushed those front tyres too hard, too soon, and with 16 minutes to go, it's going to be one hell of a challenge for Richards to hold on to that lead.
Ben Bennyworth wanted through immediately, didn't they? The slightest whiff of a pass, Ben Bennyworth just stuck the BMW up the inside. The door was closing, but he was like, yeah, I'm here, look, I want this position and I want it now. And with half the race to go, you would think, Ben, you've got plenty of time to make the move, but no, he wants to get past, potentially got a bit more tyre life in his wet tyres than Richards, wants to get through and potentially make use of it and kick on and get away.
Well, a handy comment that we had from people on the stream was saying that the rear-wheel drives are good in the dry conditions for looking after them, and they really come to you at the end of the race. But he was unsure whether or not that was the same case in the wet conditions. What we're seeing now is that looks to be the case here as well. So, Richards in that Honda Civic leading the way at the moment, but for how much longer? In towards turn one, this is where Bennyworth made the mistake and lost the lead earlier on. No such mistake this time around as we head down the hill in towards the Cascades. And you've got to remember again, you've got to be super careful through here because it's very easy to make a mistake. There's yellows in sector 3, so someone has gone off the circuit. They clear quickly, so I think it was just someone running a little bit wide. But back here with this lead battle, and again it's still heating up there. No moves gained at the moment, just staying behind. Here's a replay of what happened a little bit earlier on. That is handover with the back end of that car trying to take over, but look at that car control there.
A smile from broadcast director Mike Yao as well. He's particularly happy with picking out a slow-mo drift there across the crest. Very proud of himself, and so he should be. What a shot that is. And it just shows you how much these drivers are wrestling with the cars. Every corner is a challenge. I'm impressed that all 10 have managed to keep it on the grey stuff so far.
Yes, all keep it on the island as much as possible. And funny story, this track is actually called, this format is Island. Yes. There we go. So there you go. So Colin Talbot, believe he has pitted. He's trying fresh rubber. Now, I tried this in race 1. It actually worked in the Clios. It actually worked out okay, I think, for me. It was, I went right to the back of the grid. I managed to get back up one position and closed out about 30 seconds from the guys in front, but unfortunately, I didn't gain any more position.
I was aware you were catching me.
Yeah, it's like
worried.
It was quite a good advantage. So Talbot's going to try that one. He is 18 seconds adrift though from Burton in 9th place. So that's easily potential. With these fresher rubber down on that tyre, and you've got to remember with that rain keeps pummeling down on the circuit. It gets heavier as the race goes on, and of course that's going to be the crucial one. Still here though with our race lead, and at the moment no change at the moment. They're just in a bit of a limbo mode at the moment. I suspect you see it in karting. You see it a lot in karting where they would get into a position, they won't battle each other, working together. 4 wheels work better, or 8 wheels work better than 4, and they're just using that slipstream, using the toe, pushing each other along, trying to open up that gap even more so from Manley there, who is 5 seconds down the road. He is just in your shot, but of course if these two, they need to open up enough gap so when they do start battling, they don't have to worry about Manley in 3rd place.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because if you're Bennyworth, you want to get through and you want to make the move, but also you're so aware that any wrong move, any slip up, and you'll be tumbling down the order. 6 seconds, well, it's hovering around the 6 second, 5 second mark really, isn't it, back to Manley. Not enough time to recover the car and keep the position. So yeah, they're almost trying to just get away, find themselves some clear room and settle it amongst themselves in the final 12 3/4 minutes here at Oulton Park. If you're Manley though, you're wanting them to go at it. You're thinking like, why are you just following each other around? Just start throwing some punches and start getting stuck in, because he needs to start gaining that time back. But another thing to factor in is our delightful tyres that we keep mentioning, and once again taking a sip of my favourite drink. But Manley might have just decided to let off in these opening laps, opening half of the race, aware of the battle for the race lead and aware that he's not there on pace for now, but come towards the end of the race, can he pick up the speed, use that tyre advantage that he may have, and start closing up the time and reducing the deficit?
Yeah, that will have to be a key one on that one. So, as the timer clicks over, 12 minutes remaining. Richards leads the way from Bennyworth in second place. We're on board with Richards. You can see Bennyworth just behind in that menacing BMW. That's a common sight, isn't it, on the road? A BMW right up your backside. That's a very common view. I think
Mike Yao.
Mike's looking at BMW. Mike, you drive a BMW, don't you? Yeah. They're all terrible drivers. He's now looking at me very funny.
It's going to be me doing commentary.
There we go. So, Manley, they're holding on to third place. Willis, they're in fourth place as well, 3 seconds down from Manley. Handover has managed to get himself back up into P5. Ben Brown is in sixth place. Grout in seventh. Wilson in 8th place, Burton 9th, Talbot rounding out the field 10th place, but he's on that fresh set of tyres, of course. There is Ben Willis in the Honda Civic, again fighting his way around. Again, limbo mode. This is it's a hard bit to be on right now because you've got no one to follow, so you've got no one to kind of follow their line or anything like that. You've got no one behind you. You're just in a no man's land. You don't know what to do. You're just driving around trying to keep the tyre temps down. Back here with the leader, slightly wide from Richards. Bennyworth trying to capitalise on it again, but again just not close enough. Still working together, but looks down the inside. Oh dear, that's not a position you want to be in. We're down into Cascades, is it? You don't want to be on that inside line with a front wheel drive trying to find its way back to the apex. You'll find a very quick sandwich very quickly. But yeah, back into the braking zone off the hairpin. No lunges thus far, but 10 minutes to go.
Yes, it's a recipe for disaster, that wasn't it? But Richards he made that mistake once at the hairpin, and he's probably told himself to never make that mistake again. It's over the crest and down into the chicane. Bennyworth looking to the outside. It's going to be last of the late breakers. Richards managed to hold on to the race lead into the right-hander through the left. Bennyworth managing to carry some momentum there, almost opening the door for himself into the final part of that complex. And again, Richards holds on to the lead, but he made that mistake once at the hairpin, and Bennyworth looked to the inside. Since then, he's managed to get the car stopped and keep it as tight right as possible, as to not open the door for the BMW. But into the final sector of the lap, hustling on, Bennyworth is going to open the door for himself, I'm sure of it.
Yep, indeed. So you've got to see here that Richards is going defensive now. He's got to pay attention to the switchover move. That's what he's got to pay attention to now. Bennyworth slightly sideways out of the final corner, but has got good momentum here. He's getting squeezed to the pit wall, squeezed so much that he has to give that one up and goes to the outside. And again, great defensive driving from Richards. Both of these drivers are both incredibly talented. And again, you can see Richards can afford to run a little bit wide there out of turn one. Bennyworth can't. He has to stay on the track as much as possible because, again, like we see earlier on, he's going to lose that way. Here's Daniel Handover on the tail end of Willis as well. Pulls out. He is closing these gaps up very quickly. That rear-wheel drive Subaru is working well in these conditions now. He's got the rhythm round the outside of Cascades. Is it going to work? Yes, it is. What an overtake, Daniel Handover.
Fantastic pass. He looked a little bit crossed up mid-corner there. The rear of the car stepping out, but able just to apply some of the throttle, get things straightened out. Position gained. Went from P4 to the back of the grid, and now he's back up to P4. Groundhog Day for Handover. But he's going to be hoping to hold on to that fourth position for now, 4 seconds or so off the back of Manley.
Indeed, indeed. We'll have to keep a very close eye on that one because, like you say, he is a man on a mission and moving up the field quickly with 8 minutes to go. Can he catch the race leaders in that time? We'll have to see. Potentially so.
It'll all depend on, I mean, I get the feeling that Handover will have just absolutely stripped those tyres of any rubber and any a tread depth, if you like, that helps clear the rainwater, because he's been pushing so hard. He's been down the order, fought his way back up, caught up in that mistake, dropped back down again. Now he's back up the order. His tyres would have seen plenty of action, I'm sure of it, but he will be looking to close the gap. Already it looks like the gap started to come down slightly, potentially down to really 2 seconds now. So Manley could be struggling, Handover could be gaining.
There we go. Here is a look at the battle for 7th place or 6th place. It's Grout and Brown on track at the moment. Nothing between them as they come across the start-finish line. 7.5 minutes to go then of this race. You just saw Grout there running a little bit, well, not wide. He was on a straight line. Well, he definitely ran wide there out of turn one, but he was on the grass. He had a couple of wheels on the grass into the braking zone. That's a very brave and bold thing to do, because again, it's very easy for that back end to just step out on you, even in these front-wheel drive cars, because again, they've got to watch out for lift-off oversteer, and in these conditions, that is very easily done as well. Into the braking zone of the hairpin, no positions gains, back with the leaders as well. Battles all over the second. Oh no, disaster for Bennyworth. He's clipped the inside barrier. That is so easily done. I did it myself in qualifying. Manley inherits second place. Oh, that's just torn this race wide open, hasn't it? What a disaster for Bennyworth.
Heartbreak. He was closing up on Richards and looked to be sizing up a move, and he was so quick into that chicane on previous laps. He looked to the outside only a couple of laps ago. Seems he's got the car turned in and just clipped that tyre bundle, which is immovable. It just turns the car around. It's got no give in it at all. Race really undone for the BMW number 99, who looked to be fighting for the race lead and potentially in a position to get it back. But Manley's going to be smiling up to second place.
Yeah, Manley smiling, but Bennyworth is still right on his tail. That gap has stayed open, but here with 7th and 6th, Brown and Grout. Grout is trying to get past, just can't quite do it here as they come over the start-finish line. Stays behind. Is he going to go for a lunge in towards turn 1? Are we going to see it? I don't think we are, but it is heating up between Manley and Bennyworth as they go down cascades. You can see here it's still Manley who is in second place, but look at that, Handover is right behind as well. We're looking for a three-car battle for second place on this podium with only 5.5 minutes to go.
Bennyworth looking to the outside into the hairpin, but he's going to struggle to get that one done as he kicks the rear end of the BMW round on exit, and he'll be surprised to see the bright blue Subaru behind him after Handover being down the order, so he'll want to get past as soon as possible. Goes to the outside on Manley into the chicane where he made the mistake last time. Lovely move from the BMW driver, swoops around the outside into the right-hander, position gain back up to second place, but unfortunately for Bennyworth, he's now 9.4 seconds behind Matt Richards.
Yep, it was great awareness from Manley as well to keep those cars from touching and get to everyone around that. It's a very tight part of the circuit, and it's a very tricky move to actually get it done there. So a very well done to Bennyworth, and a very big well done to Lewis Manley as well. But now Manley has got Handover all over the back of him. Another rear-wheel drive car, but this time it's a Subaru into the braking zone of the final corner here at Oulton Park. Get ready for that switchback, because you saw there Manley under braking. It's just very difficult to drive defensively in these front-wheel drive cars in these wet conditions. It's so easy to just outbrake yourself and get taken from the inside.
Yeah, and you've got 25 minutes of race under your belt where you've been doing nothing but abuse these tyres, and Manley, unfortunately there, just looked like he lacked the grip on turning, slid wide and allowed the Subaru through. Here's a slow-mo replay of that contact. Front right collected the tyre bundle, so it wasn't even like it was an unfortunate tag of the rear. It looks like it almost rotated much more than he expected on turning and clipped the front right.
Yeah, exactly that. Very, very easy to do, and yeah, that's a huge shame for Bennyworth. But back in second place now, albeit, like you say, over 7 seconds down the road with only 3.5 minutes to go. That's nearly an impossible order, really. Again, it all depends on whether or not Richards has cooked those front tyres, because that gap has gone down to 5 seconds, now back up to 6. So again, it is still closing in. Now he's got the clean air as well. Yeah. I suspect he can put that rear-wheel drive car to use.
I was going to say, he's got some track position to play with now, which he hasn't been able to for the previous 27 minutes or so. He's got a bit of clean air. Can he now kick on and close the gap? But Richards now can't afford a mistake like that. He's now the one in the hot seat. This is his race to lose. Probably going to have 2-3 more laps here at Oulton Park. He can't afford to make a mistake like Bennyworth has looked to the inside. Charles Grout looking on the inside of the right-hander there of Brown, can't get the move done, and in fact runs wide on the exit for good measure to cost him that time. But Richards, it's so difficult now. Does he just keep at this pace, keep pushing, potentially risk a mistake, or does he try and back off? That's some of the most difficult things to do, isn't it, in racing? We talk about that groove when you're in the zone, and sometimes trying to just let off, drive at 95% as opposed to 101% is the hardest thing to do.
Exactly that. The red mist descends, and tunnel vision kicks in. You don't hear anyone telling you to slow down. You don't see anyone telling you. You don't see the pit boards anymore telling you to slow down. You just see the car in front. That's your target. That's what you're going for. Here's Daniel Handover, who disappears. He's been strolled. We've been strolled. There we go. Back with Charles Grout. Again, I'm being stared at now again once more as he crushes a bottle next round. Slightly scared. There we go. But 2 minutes to go. Grout is still trying to get past Ben Brown. He can't quite do it. But look at that. That's Willis up ahead as well. They're managing to close on. Yellow's in sector 2, and who is it? It's Daniel Handover. The blue Scooby-Doo has gone around, and that is a disaster. That car has been through the wars in this race, and it hasn't ended now. With still only 1 minute 40 seconds to go, Handover is back in P4, and Manley takes back a podium position for race 1. It's still all go. 1.5 minutes left to go. You still can't call this race, can you?
No, I said earlier, look, final 5 minutes of a touring car race is never normally the order that we see at the checkered flag. Again, look, he just clips that inside barrier, manages to spin the wheels up and get the car turned round immediately. The difference there, though, between the Bennyworth incident and Handover there is the right rear of the Subaru that tagged the tyre bundle.
Yeah.
So that's going to really catch him off guard. It was almost like he was past the corner and looking to his next apex when it happened. So no opportunity to react. Bennyworth seemed to just turned in too early, or maybe got that over rotation, and that really slowed the car up. Handover managed to recover quite quickly. Unfortunately for him, back down to P4. He'd done so well to get onto the podium positions. I feel he definitely feel this is an opportunity missed. Oh,
definitely so. It's a very tough race, these ones. And of course, at the latter part of this race, we've had 30 minutes of racing so far for race 1, and these tyres will be, well, cooked. There'll be more slick tyres than treaded wet tyres, I suspect, as Ben Brown is continuingly to be under pressure from Grout, who is going round the outside of the hairpin, can't quite get it done, tries to get back on the power earlier, but no, stays behind. Brown managing to hold on to that 6th place spot. Very close one on that one. But yeah, that was a very, very tough one. 6 seconds remaining on the clock. Where is Matt Richards? Is he going to go for one more lap? I don't think he is. So 0 minutes remaining. Checker flag will be out this time around, and I don't think it could come soon enough for Matt Richards out of the final corner up the hill. Checker flag will be waiting, and across the line, a race win for Matt Richards in the Simply Race British Touring Car Championship. Across the line goes Bennyworth. Great recovery after hitting the barriers earlier on. Lewis Manley, after having a calm race, takes 3rd place, but at the end of that one, Handover as well has had to hand over the podium positions because he's crossing the line in 4th place. Willis crosses the line in 5th. This is the battle for 6th place between Brown and Grout. Brown's going to take it from Grout. He couldn't make a difference. Chris Wilson crosses the line. He finishes in 8th. Great result for him because he started 10th on this grid. Burton as well had a roller coaster of a race, and the Mercedes is still halfway round the lap. He's still got a couple more corners to go. They're in 9th place, and Talbot, the early pit stop to change to a fresh set of tyres, didn't work. He has stayed in 10th place, but again, consistent times. He's managed to keep with the pack. He's stayed on the lead lap. He's not been lapped, and that's the vital thing. If you're not been lapped, that's the most crucial thing. Across the line goes Burton, but yeah, great first race.
A fantastic opening event here in this 3-race afternoon. Richards will be pleased with that one. He hustled Bennyworth early on. He gave him a headache, and really Bennyworth made the mistake self-inflicted at turn 1. Richards kept it clean then till the end. He had 22 minutes or so in the race lead and didn't make a single mistake, whilst others around him came a cropper in the wet conditions here at Oulton Park. Bennyworth will feel, look, it's a podium. It's 2nd place against his name, and he'll start on the front row for race 2, and an opportunity to make amends for race 1 against Richards. Handover will be gutted. I'm sure Daniel Handover, from 4th to last to wherever he seemed to be, and then he was in a podium, made a mistake in the final 2 laps. That's going to be costly, but points to his name. Fingers crossed we'll see another exciting race for race 2 and 3.
No, exactly that. Well, folks, do stick around because the next couple of races are coming up in just a moment, and of course I believe we'll be chatting to our race winner at some point. Will we? I'm not too sure. Maybe we could do. We'll find out. Stick around. There is the, I think, race results that were briefly up on your screen just there. There they are. Yes, Matt Richards taking race 1 win. 19 laps they had to do around a wet Oulton Park Island circuit. That is a tough one to do. Ben Bennyworth crosses the line second, apparently, on that one, but I thought he did finish second, didn't he? Yes, second. Of course. Yeah, I've forgotten the race results already. Ben Bennyworth did finish second, of course, but he crashed, of course, didn't he? I didn't know he recovered so quickly. Manley did cross the line in 3rd place. Mike stopped giggling at me. Daniel Handover in 4th. Ben Willis in 5th. Ben Brown crosses the line 6th place. Then it was Grout, Chris Wilson, Steve Burton, and Colin Talbot rounding out the top 10, and the only 10 drivers that are out there at the moment. Right, yes, of course. So, yes, an exciting first race. Race 2 up in a moment. We'll have a chat with one of our drivers out in the main floor of the Simply Race venue. But until then, stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Well, we're down here with race 1 winner, Matt Richards from Sancho Sim Sport. Matt, well, there's no better way to start the race proceedings, is there today? A win, but you had to fight hard with Bennyworth in the opening laps.
Oh, 100%. I knew going into the race with the lap 3 stuck in qualifying that it was going to be a difficult one. I knew that there was going to be a crossover point as well. I knew that I had to get in front of him quite quickly. Luckily, he made a little bit of a mistake, I think, at a turn 1. And yeah, just managed to get through and just try and control it from there. The main area to look for is just up the hill out of the hairpin. The traction in the front wheel drive compared to the rear wheel drive is just so different. It's really the only place that you kind of have to worry.
We're seeing the cars, obviously, like you say, handling different in certain parts of the track, but also we spoke about tyres. We saw earlier on in the Clio races that tyres were starting to be very unhappy towards the end of the 30 minutes. How did you find the rubber on your Honda Civic?
Difficult. Took a little bit of managing, but as long as you just measure the throttle on the exits, make sure that you're not trying to push a little bit too hard at the start of the race, and just control it throughout the race. It's not too bad. I think we used maybe 20% more than the rear wheel drive, so towards the end of the race it does get quite tricky. But just managing the deficit between the front and rear tyres as well, it's just the key things, really.
And obviously, it's all fun and games, battling and trying to make passes keeps you occupied. But once you're out in front, it's a different game entirely, isn't it? You've got to keep your head focus, keep looking out the front window and keep the car on track. How were those closing? Well, it's about 22, 25 minutes, wasn't it? You had the race lead. Did you manage to keep things clean? We didn't see any mistakes from you, but was it uneventful out front?
There were a few. It's always a lot trickier in the wet. Sometimes you can miss one braking zone ever so slightly and just a rear tyre in the wrong place and it just completely sends you offline. Nothing major, just a few points to work on for the second race and see what we can do.
So going forward then, race 2, you will start at the front. Any game plan changes? Obviously, you are pole man. Are you going to be going for another race win?
Not lose out too much on the line and try and control the race from the front again and just see what I can do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. We will be back with race 2 shortly. So we're back here with our P2 finisher, Ben Bennyworth in the BMW. Ben, an exciting first race there for you, but unfortunately, battling for the race lead, made that mistake early on. How was your race one?
Yeah, I'm a little bit gutted, to be honest, because throughout the whole race, we just had, pace throughout the whole of it. And I knew I was quicker than Matt Richards throughout the whole of it. And it was just that one mistake going through turn 1. I can't remember the name of the corner, but that was it. As soon as Matt Richards got ahead, that was it. And just pushed too hard going through the chicane, hit the tyres. Somehow managed to recover the second, but the damage was done, unfortunately, at that point. So.
Well, we've been talking a lot about tyres, wet races here at Oulton Park. How has the BMW been across the course of the race in the wet? Is it managing the tyres okay? You noticing a drop off towards the end?
Oh, the car is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic on the wet. It's probably one of the best cars on the grid in the wet, to be honest. Especially around a track like Oulton Park, where it suits the BMW a lot more with the rear-wheel drive cars. But like I said, it was just unfortunate that it was that one mistake. And to be honest, I kind of felt like the steering was a little bit loose, a little bit light compared to what I had in qualifying. So it didn't really feel as comfortable as I did. But we move on to race 2 anyways.
Of course, I was going to say there was obviously that mistake towards the end as well, where you clipped the
tyre barrier, yeah.
A shame. We're going forwards now to race 2. Let's look forward. You're on the front row. You're going to be looking to make a move early on. How are you approaching the second race? Is it about managing the tyres, managing the 30 minutes, or does it make the move early?
Yeah, I think tyres, to be honest, isn't really a problem because at the end of it, it was like up to 75, 80% tyre management left. So the aim really is just to do what I did in race 1, just get a good start, try and pull away, and then just take it from there, like I said. So I hope for the best, really.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ben, and we'll be back shortly with P3. So here we are with P3 finisher Manly Lewis. Looked like fun out there. Lots of slipping and sliding in the Honda Civic, but a podium. Strong result in race 1.
Very strong result. Very happy because I've never ever done the race sim in the wet before. That's the first time I've ever had to experience that. So it was a new challenge to me. So I really struggled with the grip out there because about halfway in the race, lap 9-ish, that's when the rain increased and it got heavier and heavier. And I was really struggling to keep the car on the track, like to keep the apex. Because if I go wide or go deep, then you're just going to lose loads of time, and then the guy behind is just going to catch up. So I would have been fourth, but then, of course, Andover made his error at the nick of Will, so I gifted third. So generally, I'm very pleased with that result. So hopefully, race 2, I can keep up with the leading 2 because they look pretty quick. So I'm hoping to keep up with them and try and have another good result.
And we were seeing from the other drivers that the tyres really were difficult to manage at certain points of the race, particularly towards the latter half. We'll hear from the front-wheel drive Honda. Obviously, Matt Richards said that he was struggling towards the end. Bennyworth said he felt the BMW was okay. Honda then across the 30 minutes.
It was still all right because I had my fronts still in the 60s, and Ben said he had his in the 70s or 80s because the rear-wheel drive can benefit Oulton Park because it's a rear-wheel drive circuit. So therefore, he took pole position from me, which I was pretty gutted about. But I knew he would do well because rear-wheel drive can be very nice at Oulton Park. So, and the front-wheel drive can be all right, but not as good as the rear. So, and I knew he could catch Richards at the end, but when he made his mistake, that's when I knew that was game over. And I thought, when he passed me, I thought, okay, fair enough. But I just thought, might not just hold him too much, and then I don't lose time. But when he just pulled away from me, I just couldn't keep up because there was just no grip at all when the rain increased. So, but generally, P3, as I've never done the sim in the wet, I'm very happy with that result. So as I say, just hope I can continue that into race 2.
Brilliant stuff. I was going to say, what's your game plan then for race 2? Is it hope to hold on to a podium spot, or do you reckon you've got pace to challenge the leaders?
Only if I can manage the tyres a little bit better in race 2. But the leading 2 can be very quick. But if I can keep up with them and not lose too much time, and if I can keep the guy behind me, and if I can keep have pace, then it will be very tough because, as I say, this is the first time I've done it in the wet before. If it was in the dry, then I'd be completely comfortable with it. But I've just, because it's so hard to focus when you're racing in the wet because you've got to maintain 100% concentration. So that's why you can't really do much to look and stuff. And that's why you've got to really keep looking at the track and keep on the black stuff. So I just hope if Bennyworth can get a good launch and lead at the first corner and hold Richards on, then hopefully I can keep up with them. But it depends if I can overtake. Because a mistake, and if you take someone out, then you're going to punish yourself with a penalty. So that's why you've got to be so circumspect.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Lewis Manley, P3 in race 1. Stay where you are, stay tuned. We'll be back for race 2 very shortly.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, race 2 is upon us. We've got about 10 seconds before they make their way for their formation laps. Don't worry, we're not going to get started as of yet. And as you can see, qualifying order has been set for what they finished in race number 1. Wheel spinning furiously off the line goes Richards. Here's a look at the grid then for race 2. Matt Richards on pole position with someone alongside. It disappeared. There we go. Ben Bennyworth alongside on row number 1. Row number 2, Lewis Manley and Daniel Handover on 4th place on the grid. 5th place, Ben Willis and Ben Brown and Charles Grout, Chris Wilson, Steve Burton and Colin Talbot rounding out the 10-strong grid here at Oulton Park for race 2. The biggest thing you got to remember now is, of course, the weight penalties, the ballast that's now been put onto these cars. So, Matt Richards, he won the race, which means he's got me in his passenger seat now, 75 kilos on board his car. Ben Bennyworth as well, he's got his 66 kilos in that BMW. Lewis Manley with his 57 kilos starting on 3rd place, with Daniel Handover's 48 kilos he's got on board now, starting in 4th. Ben Willis with his 39 kilos, Ben Brown with 33, Charles Grout with the 27 kilos of weight, Chris Wilson's 21, Steve Burton having 15 kilos, and Colin Talbot in 10th place with 9 kilos of ballast on board. So basically his lunch. He's got his lunch on board his car. But yes, halfway round the formation lap, this race underway. Now this is where, again, now that the weight has changed, because you have to remember that the weight penalties in the previous race were determined on the championship. So Ben Brown, who you may think struggled in that last race, he had 66 kilos of weight in his car. So you know you've got to remember that. Now, of course, he's only got the 33 kilos. A little bit more, I think. Expect him a little bit more at the sharp end now.
Definitely. Well, quite simply, the ballast has halved. You know, he's carrying that much less, and that will be a factor to play in. Really, this man, Matt Richards, on screen now, he's going to be carrying max ballast. He needs to be wary that the car he had in race 1 is not the car he's going to have underneath him in race 2. How is he going to drive around that? I heard from him in the post-race interviews that he did have to manage the tyres throughout that first race, and I'm expecting to see more of the same here in race 2.
Exactly that. So, championship standings at the moment, Calvin Cripps is still leading with his 143, despite the fact he's not taking part today. Ben Brown still second, 120 points on that one. Matt Richards took his 20 points from that race win, 112 points for him at the moment. We're about to get race 2 underway in 2 seconds. Race rise and lights out, and a great start again from Ben Bennyworth here off the line. Matt Richards tried to cut across, couldn't do it. That is rear wheel power at play right there, and with less ballast on as well.
Goes around the outside into turn 1. In fact, he was cleared by the first corner as contact there between the two leaders as they round turn 1 and down the hill into Cascades. Bennyworth with the whole shot, he leads ahead of Richards.
Yep, on board there in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, that's Colin Talbot at the back of the grid, 9 kilos of weight on board that car, and look at the spray and the wipers going furious. That's what the drivers can see. They can barely see anything.
Richards going to the outside into the hairpin, trying to do the move he did in race 1 on Manley, who's dropped back now behind Handover there, who's up into 3rd. So it's Bennyworth, Richards, Handover, your top 3 as they go down into the chicane. Handover with a point to prove in this race. I'm sure he'll be looking to make the moves nice and early on. But Bennyworth now, again, look, he's in this position where he's starting to gap the field with Matt Richards in tow. Doesn't want to make that crucial error. He said post-race, it was that race 1, you know, that turn 1 mistake. And that was it. He felt like he had the pace to match Richards, had the pace to win, but one mistake cost him that victory.
Indeed, you are correct. Here's 8th place, Chris Wilson. Emily, if you're watching, close your eyes, because down the inside goes Colin Talbot. Can't quite do it there, stays behind. But yeah, good running all the way through this grid so far as we near the end of lap 1. Like you say, Handover, much better start to this race in 3rd place. Has fallen back slightly, has got the company of Manley close behind, but here, eyes at the front. It's almost a carbon copy of what we saw in race 1. Bennyworth leading from Richards, but it's going to be waiting for that mistake, and there it was. Bennyworth very slow out of turn one, side by side into Cascades, round the outside, tries Richards, thinks better of it, stays behind, tries to go for that switchback move here. Now he's on the outside, in towards the hairpin. Again, it's not the best place to be. Great defensive driving from Bennyworth as they are side by side. First of the late breakers. Is Richards going to go the long way round? Can't quite do it. Watch for the switchback, because now he's going to look for that inside line. Can't do it. Stays behind. Great racing from these two.
And the drivers were saying post-race just how good that BMW is on the exit of the hairpin. It's just able to get that extra few yards against the competition just to keep its nose ahead and keep the position down in towards the chicane. Richards has got his work cut out if he wants to try and make the move on the exit of the island hairpin. That seems to be where he's trying his best, side by side into the tightest corner on the circuit. It's never normally goes down well, but they've seemed to have kept it clean so far. So really excellent racing from this leading duo as they round Druids and into this third sector. They're already gapping Daniel Handover. So these two certainly have the pace on the field. They're going to have to just settle it amongst themselves as Richard looks to the inside into the final corner at Lodge. Can't get it done. Bennyworth holds on to the lead for now.
Yep, so a good start then from the entirety of the field. Here is Talbot still in 9th place. Of course, that little bit less weight on board, only the 9 kilos, managing to get past Burton, who is at the back of the grid now in 10th place, but still on the tail end of Talbot as they go through turn number 1 and head down the hill. So good start then. 26.5 minutes to go. Bennyworth leading from Richards from Handover in 3rd place. Manley in 4th. Ben Brown rounds out the top 5. Willis in 6th place. Grout in 7th. Wilson 8th. Talbot 9th. And Burton your top 10. Back here with the 2nd place man, Matt Richards for Zancho Sim Sport. Down the back straight in towards this tight section where we saw Bennyworth make his mistake, where we saw Handover make his mistake, and I suspect they're probably not going to get away without making that mistake this time around. We may see it a little bit later on when tyres go off, braking zones change, and drivers get a little bit more fatigued out there.
Yeah, definitely, and they'll be so aware of that. Bennyworth will, I'm sure he'll be leaving potentially a little bit of time out on track just into the chicane to make sure he doesn't commit the same error that cost him really a chance at taking the lead back from Matt Richards in the closing stages of race 1. So expect to see the BMW potentially leaving a bit more margin to that immovable tyre bundle through the chicane, as in the background looked like Handover went in quite deep to the final corner, losing out a little bit of time there. 2.9 seconds off the leader, as we see a new fastest time coming in from Ben Bennyworth, a 1:33.6, nearly as quick, well, he's about a second or so off what he did in qualifying. So they're certainly pushing hard, and we're well aware that could come back to bite them in the closing stages.
It could very well indeed. Yeah, we'll have to keep a very close eye on that one. On board then, the not cockpit cam, I would say, the dash cam. The dash cam that we're on with Colin Talbot in 9th place. He has got Chris Wilson right in front. Now, this is front-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive. The Honda Civic versus the Focus Power. Focus now, Colin. There we go. See what I did there? Into the braking zone here of the hairpin. Stays behind. Stop shaking your head, Mike. It was beautiful pun, that was. That was a pun central, that was. But out of the hairpin, up the hill, into the braking zone. Not looking for a... Or is he? Shows his nose. Stays behind. So just putting the pressure on Wilson, forcing a mistake out of him, but Wilson's very good at driving, so it's going to be tough to get a mistake out of Wilson.
It's just almost showing the nose of the car there, and again into the exit of the chicane, just saying, look, I'm here, you know, I'm a couple of car lengths back, but I'm very eager to make the move if you slip up. So Talbot is almost trying to just force Wilson into an unforced error, really, there, of just sliding off the track or making a mistake in the braking zone. So difficult to stop trying to recover the car. If you know you're going in deep, you're late on the brakes, you missed your braking zone, or it's not quite slowing down as it did on the previous lap, it's so difficult to try and gather the car up and get it to do what you want to do. And if Wilson just goes that little step too far, he'll find himself losing out to a very eager Talbot behind, who wants to make this move with only 6.5 minutes into this race.
Yeah, still plenty of time to get that job done, though. 23 minutes on that timer between these two as we go side podding with Ben Bennyworth, looking back at Matt Richards in that Zansho Honda Civic. I suspect there are many things that are being said by Richards at the moment, especially into the braking zone of the hairpin, because you got to watch out. Here's Talbot, though, with that move into the braking zone of the hairpin. Not quite doing it on entry, but trying to force something on the exit. Again, Colin just thinking, I'm here, I'm in gear, be careful, because I might hit you in the rear. But yeah, we'll find out what happens into the braking zone of this next corner. But out of that section they go, and yeah, Talbot staying behind, albeit clouting that curb and running wide at the exit. You can get away with that again in the front-wheel drive car. You can't in the rear-wheel drive. Holds on to it. Very close battling between these two close drivers.
Yeah, it's also one of his 9 lives I feel gone there, because you don't want to get too comfortable in that you've survived that kind of incident before. As you can see, he runs wide there again, 2 wheels over the curb and onto the very wet grass. It'll be extra slick with this rain as well. You know, get away with it once, okay, yeah, get away with it. As it cuts across the inside there and takes out the floppy marker on the inside of the final corner. But don't want to do it too many times, because it will be that one occasion where you least expect it that it will snap, and the luck will swing in the opposite direction. You find yourself spinning off track.
Yeah, exactly that. You've got to be careful. And of course, hitting those curbs too hard, of course, can put extra wear on these already soft and delicate tyres around this track. You've got to be very, very careful. Here's Ben Willis, 6th place at the moment, not having a best start to his race. He was a little bit further up in race 1, but you know, he's doing well here in race 2. He's got very close company of Ben Brown up ahead and Grout behind. So Charles Grout putting on the pressure there. There's Talbot again, and like we said, there is that contact, and round goes. Oh dear, round goes Wilson. Yeah, it's a huge shame. That's
going to be one that you know, race control here will be looking at. We heard, you know, they're happy with a bit of bumping, a little bit of touring car semi-contact action is not opposed to, but when there's contact and a driver's race is shortly brewing, the car facing the wrong way off the track, that will be looked at.
Here's what happened then. So tried to go for that switchback move, hit the back firstly, and then just, it's hard to exit a corner when your rear wheels are not affixed to the tarmac, and that is what we've seen there. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to put that one on Talbot. Yeah, I do feel like there was an opportunity maybe just to back out of that one. We saw that there was a little bit of contact midway through the hairpin, but on exit, everything seemed to separate out again. It then looked like Wilson just wanted to cover off the door, just moved to the inside slightly again, as we see immediately Colin Talbot to pit lane. So I wonder if that is a penalty been served his way with immediate effect, getting a nod across the commentary box, drive-through penalty for contact. So swift hand of justice being dealt out there to Colin Talbot. Yep, exactly that. So 20 minutes remaining, and he's got a lot of work to do, as he's got Wilson right with him again as he exits the pit lane. That battle is very much not over, but this time, you know, that's maybe they will have learnt lessons. Back with this group of 3 cars then. This is Brown, Willis and Grout. All Honda Civics, I believe, as they exit through. All front-wheel drive cars. You can see there, Manley up ahead, also in a Honda Civic. Some may say the Honda Civic being one of the more favourite cars out there. Well, you'd say that, but we spoke to the drivers actually post-race, and the Honda Civic drivers said that the BMW was the car to have. And then Ben Bennyworth just was quietly confident that his car was pretty strong around Oulton Park. So you would actually say that potentially the BMW across the race distance is the machine you want to be behind the wheel of. But plenty of Civics out on track, plenty of Civics battling, infighting between the Hondas out there. Bennyworth leading, Richards in second, 1.7 seconds. It's kind of ebbing and flowing again, as Daniel Hando doing a purple sector 2, I just noticed on the last lap. So he's certainly not relenting as we near the halfway point of this race. Richards could potentially just be easing off now. Look, he's nearly 2 seconds down on the race leader. Why not save some tyres? With that buffer, you've got a bit of a margin, a bit of clean air to play with. You see one of the Hondas running very wide on the exit of turn 1, but just let off a little bit. Maybe Bennyworth's going to make a mistake, start getting ahead of himself, thinking that he's got this race win, you know, in the bag and locked up and ready to go. And then in the later stages, handover with potentially fresher tyres can just close in or make benefit from a mistake of Bennyworth. So
still very much all to play for as Handover here, fighting hard up to second place. So it looks like Richards has made a mistake.
Indeed, yeah, Richards falling back. I'm sure we'll try to find that at some point. We'll come back here, though, with the battle for 5th place, as Willis is closing in on Brown at the moment and is wanting to get past, I suspect, fairly soonish, because 18 minutes to go. Here's what's happened to Richards then. So out of turn 1, you can see Handover. Good exit out of turn 1. Down the hill now towards Cascades. Is it going to be a dive down the inside here? Oh, he tried to look for it down the inside there. Couldn't quite do it. Stayed behind. Now it's going to be a good exit out of the corner there into the braking zone. Now here, down the inside, has got good pace. Matt Richards brakes early, backs out of that one, just says, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to battle you. I'm going to let you have that one. Now I'm going to try and follow you. You know, work together. 4 wheels work, or 8 wheels work better than 4 in this case, and they'll just work together, try close that gap back up to Bennyworth. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one as the race progresses, because of course tyres are the most important thing. Front wheel drive, got to watch out for it, especially with the rear wheel drive as well. Out of turn 1, Ben Brown and Willis both going slightly wide out of the exit, but holding on to that one into the braking zone, staying line astern. No moves there, but yeah, would you say that they're catching Manley at the moment?
It looks like they could be, actually. Yeah, every time the camera seems to pan round, it looks like the white and red Honda of Manley seems to be a little bit closer than it was on the previous lap. This trio is going to turn into a quartet shortly, I'm sure of it, as Manley holding on to 4th place for now. He was so happy with the podium. I think he'd be a bit annoyed that he slipped back from competing in that top 3, but here he is anyway, a strong result nonetheless to be running around in P4. But an angry-looking train of Hondas closing in, and if positions are up for grabs, I wouldn't be surprised to see Brown, Willis, or Brown going for a move at some point. And you know, if you've got to send a little bit of a tap, a little bit of a nudge just to open the door for yourself, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of those being thrown around.
It's a love tap, isn't it? You got to show that you're there. I'm just showing that, you know, I'm bringing you the love with my front bumper to your rear bumper and allowing an overtake. That's all that is. It's just a bit of friendly nudging. That's
push to pass. We call it push to pass, but it's a different management of push to pass. It's not boosting, is it? It's just a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a I'm here and I want to go through.
Full send to pass. There you go. That's what you call it. Full send. There we go. But yes, like you say, Honda Civics 1, 2, 3 in this pack here, but 5th, 6th and 7th on track at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that gap, though, between two, because it's fluctuating between the 3.5 to the 4 second markers at the moment. But yeah, close battles all the way around. And everyone, again, kind of in a limbo mode. They're all looking after their tempo. I think they've learnt a lot from race 1 and just gone, okay, yeah, the tyres really go off quite quickly, don't they?
I mean, we call it data logging, don't we, really? Yeah. You're just going to have that knowledge now stored in the back of your mind. You're going to get to this point of the race, you've been here before, what am I going to do differently? Do I want to continue pushing? As we see there, that was Grout, I believe, in one of the Hondas running wide at the midpoint of the hairpin. Do I want to continue pushing the tyres and suffer as I did in race 1 right at the end? Or do I choose now to back off a bit, maybe leave a bit more time out there on track, but crucially a better average pace across this second half of the race and have that rubber underneath you when it comes to the closing minutes, where we saw mistakes in race 1, you know, and if you've got the tyre advantage and you can then get a move done, keep it, I mean, what's not to like about that? So potentially some management going on here as we see the race settling down to some extent. They're just running around, a bit of a time trial against yourself, but also wanting to manage the car underneath you.
Yeah, exactly that. Great stuff from there. Here's a replay. What happens here? Oh, again, another shot. Daniel Handover. Bit of Tokyo drift there, has seen the lights and has seen the throttle and kept that planted and kept it on the track, though. But nicely done there, Daniel Handover. He likes that out of turn 1, doesn't he?
That's why we have 3 monitors here at Simply Race, so you can look out of the left side one as you're doing a complete drift full opposite lock out of turn 1. That's the reason for triple monitor setups.
His left-hand monitor was his main monitor at the exit of that corner, wasn't it? So, yeah, no, fantastic stuff there from Daniel Handover. 2nd place at the moment. Closing in on Ben Bennyworth. It's around a second at the moment between those two. I'll keep an eye on the sector times. Ben Bennyworth was a 37.258 at sector 1, 37.420 from Daniel Handover. So on pace, but not fighting too fast. But Daniel Handover does have the fastest race, or he had the fastest lap last time around. He had a 34.9 compared to the 35.2 from Bennyworth. And in fact, he has got the fastest lap of the race overall, 1:33.4. So, you know, Daniel Handover has got good pace. Expect good things by the end of this race.
And we saw it in race 1, didn't we, that he could fight back through the field. Now he's got a bit of clean air and he's not involved in all sorts of touring car shenanigans. He's able to kick on and put that pace onto the road, running P2 and definitely starting to cause Bennyworth the headache. You'll be aware that that Subaru is closing in and showing good pace. All you need to do is keep his eyes forward and keep pushing on. But it looks like it's raining pretty hard.
Yeah, I think the heavens have once again opened here at Oulton Park and the rain is plummeting down, and that's bad news for drivers who have really cooked their tyres, because now it's just going to be a case of surviving these last 12 minutes. That's going to be an interesting one. Comments on the chat. Derek Hall joins us and goes, what hardware do you guys have? Honestly, Derek, I haven't got the foggiest. They're PCs, they go brrr. That's what
they have nice lights on them as well.
Yeah, RGB lighting. That gains 20% power performance in any PC, RGB lighting. You can have a PC with nothing in it. Nothing in it, just RGB lighting, could run any AAA title at 200 frames per second.
Do not quote AJ on that one at all when you go to buy a PC, because you'll need the receipt to hand when it doesn't work when you get home.
It's got a single core processor, integrated graphics, but it's got RGB lighting. That's all I care about.
It's a big box to tick.
It is a very big box to tick. Back here with this battle for, well, 5th place, is it? Yeah, Brown, Willis and Grout. No position changes. Willis has tried to get past Brown all the way through this one, of course. Working hard, but they have stayed line astern all the way through this one in terms of that one. Another question, of course, in terms of hardware. Yes, we will talk about the PCs, and of course RGB lighting being the fundamental thing that runs these is the RGB lighting. But of course the thing that the drivers are using as well, that's the most important thing. What kit are they using to actually steer these vehicles? And that, of course, is provided all by Thrustmaster. Of course, we're running the TSPC wheels, or the TXS, those ones. That one, what Mike said. Yeah, running those wheels. I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here, I have used those a lot in the past, and I have to say they are very, very good to drive. They've got some great force feedback in the wheels again. You can really feel what the car's doing. You can feel if the back has stepped out, when to hold it, when to kick back, and that's obviously a fundamental thing because, of course, in real motorsport, a driver feels every bump, nook, cracky with his arse.
Yeah.
He doesn't get that in this. You have to feel it through the wheel. That's the crucial part, and if you can feel it in the wheel, you're golden.
And especially, as we see contact there between Grout, I think that was, and Willis coming nose to tail bumping there into the hairpin, just again getting a bit crossed up on the brakes as we head into this final third of the race. Both of them escaping unharmed. The only damage done is they've lost time to the number 22 of Brown up ahead, who's managing to make best of that contact between the two and find some time. It looks very wet out there, and that only adds to your point about the Thrustmaster wheels we've got here. You can feel that a little bit more. You can just get a better grasp of the conditions, keep on top of it, and keep the car on track as well as balancing, you know, your brake and throttle inputs to keep the car in a straight line. We've seen plenty of sideways moments, but plenty of well-controlled drifts from the field, and they wouldn't be able to do that without the very comfortable force feedback feelings that they're getting.
Noise from the room and a yellow flag out in one of the sectors. I think there has been an incident. You put the 2 and 2 together, and yeah, I'm sure we'll find a replay at some point of what actually happened. But here we're still with Charles Grout. I say at the moment we've found the replay already. There we go, good work there. There is Chris Wilson and a recovering Mr. Steve Burton in the Mercedes, and unfortunately Wilson has gone into the back of it. Now, what do you put that on? Do you put that racing incident? I mean, it's a hard one. I mean, he was off the circuit and coming back on. Is it an unsafe re-entry onto the circuit as we see one? Whoa, that lunge started in a different postcode. What was that from Grout? Down the inside between the two of them. Tried to get past Willis, tried to get past Brown in one move as well. Couldn't quite do it. Stays in 7th.
Desperation, I think, to some extent. He's been staring at the rear end of that Civic for the entirety of this race. He potentially saw the minor little crack of getting through, and he wanted to take it, and he sent the car up the inside. Lucky not to have contact, because that would have been race ending if he had not only had a collision but then handed a penalty. He would have found himself right down the order. But this battle is heating up in the final 8 minutes. Handover is well and truly all over the back of Bennyworth's BMW, and he's going to be looking for a way past, because go from the back of the grid to 4th in the last race, and then now to go from 4th up to a race victory, Handover will have definitely felt like he's fully recovered after that opening stint incident.
Indeed, I think you are correct. Now, they both exit out there. Now, we've seen, when we came to these live pictures, you saw Handover looked like he was struggling with the exit out of some of the corners. You saw the car squirreling under power, and again, out of turn 1 and the Cascades as well. In towards the hairpin now, not close enough for a lunge. Well, in my mind, he's not close enough for a lunge. Lunge distance I thought from around a moment ago was miles ago.
So as we see here, Handover though, very much looking for a way past Bennyworth into the chicane there. Door not open, but he's closed right up through the right and left. He's almost trading paint with the rear of the white, blue and red BMW as they exit Knickerbrook chicane up over the crest. He's very eager looking now. The body language of Handover's Subaru, it looks like it's okay, yes, it's squirrely, yes, it's jumping around, but Handover looks to like that as Bennyworth goes wide there through Druids and through the second part. Handover up the inside, and he slides, and he's off to the left-hand side and in the wall. Handover nose first into the barrier, spins round. We saw him kicking out the rear through the double right at Druids, and it looks like on this occasion, it's just bitten back, and Handover spun round on the exit there. Bennyworth's going to feel like the race is wrapped up with 6.25 minutes to go.
Well, drama at the near end of this race. We had an issue with Handover. We had a terrible, really, first race, didn't he, with incident on the first lap, hitting the barriers as well, but bringing it back, getting up those positions, having a great finish, and he's had a great race all the way up until this point. It's such a tough race here at Oulton Park. It's such a narrow circuit, as again we can see Grout going the long way round turn 1 onto the grass, struggling to get the power on, gets that done, albeit off the circuit, but a very nice move there from Grout, moves up into P6.
Exceptionally clean and really well managed there to go side by side and not make contact, and also not to run too wide off the track and skip through the grass and lose traction and loop it round, but really controlled aggression there from Grout. A nice change considering he sent it up the inside into the hairpin and it didn't work. That time he went to the outside at turn 1 and managed to make the move stick. Handover though still holding on to second place, and that just shows you the pace that the rear-wheel drive BMW and Subaru have had over Matt Richards in third. Okay, yes, ballast is going to play into that to some aspect as well, but to still be in second place after looping the car that heavily just shows you what kind of speed the leading duo have had.
Exactly that. Less than 5 minutes to go then. Ben Bennyworth leading the way from Daniel Handover, who has managed to hold on to second place. He's got a nice comfortable gap between himself and Richards at the moment in third place. Manley holding on to fourth, bit of a no man's land for him at the moment. Ben Brown, who is under now immense pressure from Charles Grout. Honda Civic versus Honda Civic. Has it been? Just Grout has looked after his tyres a little bit more, despite the fact that he had a lunge from a different postcode, despite the fact that he's had many sideways moments, and despite the fact that it's very tough to keep these tyres in check all the way through this race. He is managing to close the gap and even try and pass Ben Brown as they go through turn number 1. He couldn't quite do it there. Both ran a little bit wide into the downhill section now, and just staying line astern, nice and tidy, nice and clean. Is he going to go side by side here as we go rear view? I wonder where that camera was on the car. Be a GoPro sticking out. Be like the ugliest looking camera spot on everywhere. But it's a good view here of how close it can be, and into the hairpin. Oh, you could just see there, Grout tried to go the long way round. It's a hard move to get that done, isn't it?
Yeah, and I wonder if actually Grout's been he's been at the rear of this trio for much of the race so far. I wonder if he's just been biding his time, simply just letting himself be towed around this Oulton Park circuit for the previous 25 minutes or so, and now he's going to start putting the power down and unleashing the tyres and whatever grip he's got left. Because immediately, I mean, on the previous lap, he passed for P6, and now he's looking for a top 5 finish, and it's very much up for grabs. And he just seems to, in every braking zone, a big slide into turn Druids there. And actually, Grout looking up the inside as Brown understeering wide on the contact between the two of them. Big hit into the barrier there. That's Brown over to the right-hand side, and this Civic is sent flipping end over end. He's actually rested on the other side of the barriers. He's actually gone all the way over the Armco. What a shame there. Contact. It was just heating up into a very nice battle.
End over end, and Brown finishes it with a cheese and ham sandwich in a picnic area in the grandstand. So that is a disaster for Ben Brown, and yeah, I didn't expect to see that happen because it was such speed, such ferocity as well. But a penalty for Charles Grout. I'm not surprised.
Immediately, isn't it? They've made a decision on that. It is straight away. They haven't, you know, I'm sure they have looked at replays, but straight away they've decided that Grout's to blame for that one. Difficult, I would say, if I'm to put my neck on the line here. I think it's a bit difficult to see the two drivers coming out of the exit of Druids there. They're both battling hard right at the closing stage of the race. They're not going to want to give any space to each other. I don't know. Difficult one, that.
Yeah, it is a very difficult one, but again, race controls. Grant Lyman has got around 60,000 million camera angles to view that. A slight exaggeration, maybe, but he's got a lot of camera angles, a lot more than what we and the viewers at home have got. We've only got the pictures that you can see on your screen, so we can't see it from every angle. But yeah, what a crash that was, because 0 to 100 miles an hour in a blink of an eye, and yeah, blinking you'd have missed it. But the good news is he is now at a picnic with a ham and cheese sandwich, so I'm sure there is benefits from that one.
Yes, but you know, he's going to feel look, Brown, yes, okay, look, involved in the incident, he's really lost out on that. But you've got to think for Grout as well, who was trying to make the move and looked to have the pace at that point in the race. Now that P6 is going to be nothing once he serves his penalty, and I think we might get a replay of it here. So into Druids, running wide, Grout's going to look to the inside into this second part because of the understeering Civic on the outside, then through the second right-hander. The door's getting closed there. Still enough room for a car. So they are still side by side. And then onto the exit, still side by side. There hasn't been any contact yet. And it just maybe gets two wheels on the curb. Oh no, looks like the black Civic is actually moving over to the left-hand side. That is Grout. And there we go, spun to the inside. So that's going to be what race control have seen. That movement is what they deem, you know, to be handed that penalty.
Yeah. Well, by the looks of that one then, the call's been made and the decision has been made, and penalty goes out. And yeah, very quick decision there. But I have to say, we're down to the last 15 seconds of race 1, and Ben Bennyworth is still leading this way. One more corner to go. It's looking like it's going to be a checker flag this time around. It will be. The timer strikes 0. Out of the corner, no barriers this time around. It's a flash of the headlights for Ben Bennyworth, taking race 2 number win, and crucially 20 points to the championship. Handover again, a great finish, crosses the line, second place despite hitting the barriers. Great result. Richards crossing the line in 3rd place, and Manley crossing the line in 4th place. And you got to remember as well the weight categories that these drivers had in that one. Of course, Richards had the massive 75 kilos. He had me on board, and he couldn't do it with me on board because I'm very irritating as a passenger.
Yeah, it's not just, at least the ballast boxes are nice and quiet. Anyway, Charles Grout running wide through the gravel through the final corner. So on top of that penalty, a run through the beach there at the last time of asking crosses the line to take the checkered flag in 6th, but I'm sure he will be tumbling down the order with that penalty applied post-race. A bit of an uneventful one for Matt Richards. Felt like he was in no man's land throughout that, despite seeing him challenge at the front in race 1. I'm sure we'll find out as to whether that was just the ballast or maybe just a different approach to race 2. But Bennyworth will be pleased with that victory. Get the feeling that he really, you know, race 1 could have gone his way, and it was a toss of the coin into those final few minutes. He made the mistake hitting the tyre barrier, the chicane in race 1. No mistakes this time, holds on, makes amends for that incident, takes victory in race 2.
There you go. There's a look then at the race results for race 2. Ben Bennyworth there with a race win under his belt. Now 20 points for him. Daniel Handover takes second place. Matt Richards crossing in third. Lewis Manley with another, fourth place this time, third in the first race. Of course, fourth place this time around. Still good, consistent driving. But again, he is struggling with those tyres in the latter part of the race. Ben Willis crossing the line in fifth place. Charles Grout with that penalty crosses the line in sixth place. Colin Talbot with his penalty as well crosses the line in seventh place. Steve Burton in eighth. Chris Wilson in ninth. But great running then from those drivers. And of course, do stick around because we'll be chatting to our top 3 in just a moment. And I'm sure we'd like to hear from Ben Bennyworth to see, what the difference is, what he did different that race, apart from hitting a barrier. That's what the difference was. Dan Handover, again, we'll be curious to see what he has to say, as well as Matt Richards, of course. Be nice to find out what it was like to drive with that full 75 kilos. So, that'll be a crucial one. So stick around, folks. We'll be back very shortly.
So here we are with race 2, race winner, Ben Bennyworth. Ben, Do you get the feeling you make amends for race 1, victory in race 2? How's it feel?
A bit of redemption, yeah. Got off to a good start, and I knew that I had to get alongside Matt to have any chance of winning, and I could see him coming across going into turn 1. I thought, right, I've got to do something. I had 2 wheels on the grass, somehow I saved it, and from there onwards, just managed to hold off, Matt Richards and obviously Daniel as well. It was a bit unfortunate what happened to Daniel in one of those incidents, but managed to control it, and hopefully we see what we come in race 3, the reverse grid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you do have that feeling of making amends for the incident in race 1, but then you're doing a very different race, aren't you, then, for that second half? You are in the race lead. You then have to absorb that pressure from behind. How did you find dealing with that? Did you feel you had the car underneath you to just stay ahead?
Well, it was also that, and bearing in mind that we had, near full weight ballast as well, so that was a little bit harder as well in the tricky conditions. I think it was something like 50 kilos compared to like 21 kilos I had in the first race. So it was just a case of just managing tyres and just managing, the race pace and just holding off everyone else, really.
So now into race 3, you will be carrying max ballast, obviously, as race winner, and we do have the reverse grid draw to do as well. How do you feel about that?
We'll see where we end up in the race first grid and just take it from there.
Brilliant.
Just see what happens.
Well, congratulations on your race 2 victory at Ben Bennyworth, and we'll be back with our P2 finisher in a second.
All right, no worries.
Here we are with second place finisher Daniel Handover. Daniel, well, do you feel you made amends for race 1? You're up and down the order in that first race. Short of a podium, then a mistake towards the end, and here you are. Race 2, P2. It wasn't without its trials and tribulations, was it?
No, definitely not. It wasn't too bad, to be fair. Pace was good, tyres worked, which was nice. Shame it's just at the end I drove like a bit of a donkey, and it all went a bit wrong. But all in all, great fun. Car's great fun to drive in the wet. It's really stable, really planted. And yeah, I mean, the reverse grid, I believe it's the 7th is a reverse grid. Okay. So hopefully, again, we get a good run and see how we go. But I mean, it's really sort of all to play for, I think.
And we've heard from Honda drivers, we've heard from BMW drivers about how their cars are across the race distance. There's been a lot of conversation, obviously, about tyres, how they last across 30 minutes. How are you finding the Subaru Levorg?
Do you know what? I think it's a really nice platform to drive on the wet. But naturally, there is a bit of a tail off, as you would find with any of the cars. I think the BMW, it might have a bit more wear potentially. I don't know. Again, it just seems that the Subaru stays. I think I was catching Ben up towards the end a little bit more than I thought I was going to. Okay. So I don't know whether it's just the tyre wear seems to be working. I mean, I probably saw that I wasn't exactly driving, conservatively. Yes. I think is the best way to put it. But yeah, it works for the car. So I'm thinking if the tyres can sort of stay, if it dries up, it's the only thing. Next race, that's going to be a bit of a.
So yeah, I was going to say, moving forward then, race 3, you've bounced back. Race 1, race 2 now on the podium. Going to be going all guns blazing, or are you thinking about picking up points in this final race?
Well, I to be fair, it's a bit of a tricky one. I think race 1 was definitely a bit of a steep learning curve. Just getting sort of settled back into the rhythm. Obviously, good. After the second half, got into it. Race 2 was much more comfortable, much more control, and I felt a lot more composed. I think race 3, I'm just going to be, again, to start with conservatively, see what's going on around. Might try and sort of capitalise if it is raining really hard, really quickly, and try and get the jump on the front wheel drives, because naturally the gap will become closer if it does start to dry out. So it is a bit of a gamble. We just need to sort of see how it goes. But I think to start with conservatively to a point, and then we'll probably try and see sort of how it goes. But anything can happen, I suppose, really.
And it normally does as well. So thank you very much, Tony, for joining us post-race, P2 finisher in race 2. We'll be back with our third place finisher very shortly. Okay, so here we are with our race 2 P3 finisher, Matt Richards. Matt, very different race for you that time. It seemed like you were kind of out on your own there in the latter half of the event. You were dropped off early on and just really managing the race from there on.
Yeah, in the conditions that we're in at the moment, I saw Ben starting to pull away from me. Saw the Subaru getting bigger and bigger in my mirror, and just thought, third's okay. We're start of 8th for race 3, and just thought I'd try and play the game a little bit, to be honest.
Carrying the ballast as well in race 2. How was the car different? Did you feel a noticeable change in the step up in the ballast carried?
A little bit more rotation, which is quite helpful, to be honest. The brake bias does kind of dull that down a little bit, though, which is a little bit awkward. But yeah, just a little bit of a change, but nothing major that causes any sort of concern.
Going into race 3, like you say, reverse grid, you're going to be shuffled down the order. What's your approach to this one then? You have got, all the data about conditions and tyre life logged from races 1 and 2. It's a completely different game though, isn't it, in race 3?
Yeah, definitely. I need second to match Callum in the championship, or jump 1 point ahead. So second at minimum, to be honest.
Cool. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Matt, for joining us.
Cheers.
Finisher in race 2, and we'll be back with the third and final race of today's proceedings here at Simply Race Oulton Park in a few moments' time. Stay tuned.
Well, welcome back, race fans. It's that time you've all been waiting for, and I think we've been waiting for as well, Tim. It's time now for race 3. We had the reverse grid, the hat was pulled out, the name was drawn, and it was the number 7, Colin Talbot, who took that one and will be starting on pole position with Charles Grout alongside. Ben Willis in row 2 on 3rd place, as well with Lewis, who is it? It is Lewis Manley on 4th on the grid. Matt Richards in 5th with Daniel Handover, Ben Bennyworth, Chris Wilson on 8th on the grid, and rounding out the field of 10 karts, Steve Burton and Ben Brown. And that is going to be a exciting race nonetheless. I spoke to Colin Talbot before he started this race. To say he's bricking it is an understatement.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be suddenly thrust to the front of the order in these conditions and with this angry pack of drivers behind you. You wouldn't be surprised to yes, Talbot was bricking it for want of a better phrase or whatever. So yes, Talbot going to have to get the job done off the start though, because that's his first obstacle. He needs to get away from the lights well and lead through turn 1 and out turn 2. Nice clean run down to the hairpin, and I'm sure that will set his race up nicely. Mid-pack though, that's where my eyes are going to be. Richards, Handover and Bennyworth. They were 3, 2, 1 in race 2 in that order. Going to be excited to see where that BMW, which in my opinion appears to be the best car across the race and the best across the 2 races we've had so far. The number 99 looks to be the machine to be behind the wheel of. Excited to see where he can go from 7th place on the grid.
Main thing you got to remember from this one, and race 2 and race 1, the rear-wheel drive cars off the line are far superior. They can get off the line much faster. And it's just going to be a tight one in towards turn 1. Get ready for 3 wide.
Yeah, especially with Handover. He's alongside another rear-wheel drive car in the Subaru Levorg. So you're going to have to look out for the drivers that are on the 3rd and 4th row, because they're going to be pushing on straight away. And yeah, like you say, I do feel like we could get a 3 wide moment into turn 1 or potentially turn 2, and you don't want to be in any position with in a 3 wide. That's just not something that many people live to tell the tale about.
No, exactly that. Well, race 3 is upon us. They'll be heading to the grid in just a moment. Obviously, folks at home, if you are enjoying what you are seeing here on the Simply Race YouTube channel and the Facebook channel as well, please do make sure you are liking the stream that you are seeing. Mike Yao here at the Simply Race venue is doing a sterling job with giving us these lovely pictures here at Oulton Park. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the Simply Race YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell as well, so you don't miss out on any future videos from the Simply Race team. Because I definitely wouldn't want to miss out on this one as well.
Absolutely, and this, this has been the shop window to what this championship can provide. It's been thrilling racing in difficult conditions, and it looks like we've got a number of drivers towards the sharp end today that are going to want to pull a result out of the bag. Exactly that.
It's front wheel drive locking out the front 3 rows. Rear wheel drive in the mid pack is going to be the one to keep an eye on. It's Bennyworth and Handover who have been battling all the way throughout this day, but Colin Talbot starts on a pole position, lights out, and here we go. It's a great start from Talbot, holding on to that front row, but where are the rear-wheel drive cars? I don't think they had a good start, but look at Handover. He got a good start. He's already up into P4, trying to go around the outside of turn 1. Can't quite do it as the rest of the field go through. There's a bit of jostling. Manley off the circuit. Everyone getting through, though, but Colin Talbot at the end of turn 1 is still in the lead. Well, I wasn't expecting that, I have to say.
He's managed to hold on to the lead. He's got the whole shot. Exactly what he needs to do now. Let the shenanigans kick off behind you and just scamper off into the sunset and act like no one else was ever on track with you. But further down the order, Richards getting involved. Contact there between Manley and Willis into the hairpin. They managed to get that one settled and keep things pointing in the right direction. What a flying start from Hando. It looks to just get shuffled out though on the exit of turn 1, and he's lost out, dropping a couple of positions that he'd looked to have gained so early on. Side by side with Richards. Down the hill into the chicane. They are 2 by 2 as they go through Knickerbrook. It looks like Willis has managed to keep the lead. This little pack, then Manley behind. Side by side now, Richards and the Levorg of Handover, who has to just accept the battle is lost and file in behind the Honda Civic of Richards.
It was indeed. It was Noah's Ark 2 by 2 into the braking zone, and they've all slot single file now into position. Willis Great start from him, holding on to P3 at the moment, but Manley under severe pressure from Richards, who's all over the back of him here. It's Honda Civic 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then it's the Lavorg in 6th place. So front-wheel drive dominating this race so far, but still we end lap number 1, and Talbot leading the way from Grout, then Willis, then Manley, Richards, Handover in 6th place, Bennyworth in 7th. He didn't manage to get the best start in the world. Wilson in 8th place, Brown in 9th, and Burton rounding out the field of 10 strong cars in this field here. He's only 1.1 seconds down from the man in front of him. So, you know, it's a tough old grid all the way throughout this. Really skilled drivers as we watch here. Manley into the braking zone of the hairpin. No lunges here. The concertina slightly up as Richard goes slightly wide, tries to tuck back in, but everyone's slossing through. So good start from the field, and at the moment Talbot holding on to the lead.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job there at the moment. Just opened up a near second advantage over Grout, but all closing up into the chicane. In fact, Grout goes quite deep there, getting 2 wheels on the grass. That's cost him valuable momentum through the left and the right, and out onto this fast stretch up over the crest towards the double right-hander at Druids. He's now got Willis for company, who's bringing Manley along as well, and then Richards is in there just for good measure. So all these Civics are locked together now for positions 2, 3, 4 and 5. One foul move, one little fatal error really can cost you a number of positions, especially when the pack's so close together. They're going to come streaming past, and you'll have to make sure you rejoin the track safely if you find yourself off amongst the weeds or over the barriers we saw in race 2.
Yep, like stretching an elastic band, the tension is building and we're waiting for that patwanging moment as everyone switches past. So, new best lap of the race though, Colin Talbot, 1:34.905 at the front of the field, has got good pace, good momentum, and holding on to that one at the moment, leading comfortably 0.3 of a second from Charles Grout in 2nd place. Like we're saying, we're seeing micro mistakes from these drivers at the front, and that's keeping this pack close. That's what makes race 3 so exciting in any form of touring car race, be it the real touring cars or virtual. It makes this racing so close and so exciting, as we're seeing Willis all over the back of Grout now as they exit out of the hairpin into the braking zone of the right-hander. We've seen overtakes here, we've seen crashes here, we've seen all sorts here as they go through now, all calm and collected. Talbot wide though out of the exit of the corner. He's now going to have Grout all over the back of him as the momentum here up the hill is going to be vital. We go on board with Ben Willis in 3rd place. You can see there the spray that's still being kicked up. There was word of warning that the rain may actually stop around halfway through this race and the track could potentially dry off. We're not too sure whether or not that could be the case, so keep an eye on that one. But at the moment, it's all guns are blazing here at the front as defensive goes Grout, with Willis following close behind.
Yeah, Talbot's making a couple of errors. It's actually backing Grout up into Willis. There's another mistake there through the final corner, allows Grout to close right up on the apex. Almost 3 cars merge into one through the final corner. So Talbot, Grout and Willis are all kind of backing each other up and costing each other time. It looks like Manley and Richards are starting to go at it, and they've dropped off the back of the leading trio. But again, like we're seeing, it's just ebbing and flowing. The gaps are extending and then decreasing quite quickly. That's the nature of the racing here, and especially when all these cars are the same. There's 5 Civics in the top 5. The only difference will be the ballast they're carrying.
Exactly that, exactly that. Well, it's all action still at the front. 24 minutes to go. You've got picture-in-picture there. The main picture is, of course, Richards in 5th place there. He's got strong pressure from Handover behind, and he's piling on the pressure to Manley in front. The bottom corner as well, which now comes to main screen, is 2nd place Charles Grout, who is under pressure from Willis behind in 3rd place. Talbot doing a sterling job here, is actually holding the field. I don't think Talbot's the one holding the field up. I think it's Grout at the moment because, of course, Colin's managing to pull away slightly. You know, he's got 0.6 of a second gap. But here, for 4th place, it is side by side, Richards and Manley. Richards got the move there, but cuts across the nose there. Do they keep it on the track? Oh, they do indeed. What car control that is. No positions gained or lost in terms of other cars, but Richard gets past Manley. I think race control will be looking into that one.
There was a bit of a bump and a bruise between the pair of them there. Richards was so lucky to catch what is a little bit of netting contact there, actually, between Handover and Manley on the exit of the final corner. There's just a little bit of this kind of track mesh grass netting on the exit, between the two apexes there at Druids. And he's so lucky to catch that and not catch a curb or grass that could potentially kick the car out of control and send him on his way. Manages to hold on to the position, but Manley looks to be fighting back. They are nose to tail down the hill over the bump into Cascades. The dark blue Civic ahead of the red and white one, and Handover here now is just waiting in the wings. He's seen the drama unfolding in front of him. He's almost just waiting to see it happen again. Ding ding, second out, round 2.
Indeed that. And drama at the front because Willis gets down the inside of Grout, moves up into second position, closes that door and says thank you very much. Willis will take that one, but Grout's coming back into the braking zone. No, he stays behind. And there, Handover trying to get past Manley as well. Now Manley's a very fierce and competitive driver. He's going to want to try and get past Richards ASAP once more because Handover is going hand over fist here at the moment, trying to control that car.
That's another one. Take that one off your bingo list. He's done it in race 3. But yeah, Handover, look, he's got positions to gain here now. He's in 6th place. Plenty of cars stand between him and a podium or a race victory. Crucially, though, they're all still together. The gaps haven't opened up. And we know that this car is good across the race distance, rear-wheel drive. And in a race, like we say, changeable conditions. We see side by side up through Deer Lee. This is Willis and Grout. Grout on the inside.
This is Willis and Talbot. This is for the lead. Yep, it is indeed for the race lead. Willis down the inside of Talbot gets the move done, but Matt Richards sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:33.9. Talbot's trying to come back. He retakes the lead down the hill, side by side into Cascades. Careful, boys, because here we go. This is where it could all go wrong for them. Oh no, he slots into space. Talbot thinks better of it, slots back into position. Good driving there, but now he's under immense pressure because Grout and Richards are line astern. It's going to be first of the late breakers, heavy contact. Grout into the back of Talbot, and it goes side by side. Richard thinks better of it, goes to the outside, but look at this. Manley, it's absolute pandemonium. It's carnage. And look at Ben Bennyworth, who's capitalised. He's gone from near on back to second in one corner. My goodness me. Oh no, and more contact. Handover's off the track. And now he's gone sideways, spinning on that wet grass. And he is right at the back of the field now. What drama with 21 minutes to go.
It was all a traffic jam through the hairpin, wasn't it? One of the Civics looked to have been turned across the front of 2 cars on the outside, and they all had to hop on the brakes, but as they tried to dive bomb and get out of the way and avoid and find some clear air, unfortunately there was another Civic in the way. There's just all of these Hondas coming to blows at the island hairpin, and then it continued on the exit of the corner, and as Handover tried to make a move on a slower car, just over to the right-hand side, find himself spinning off into the grass. But like you say, Ben Bennyworth, the real beneficiary in that event, up to second place, managed just to find a clear path through the wreckage. That number 99 BMW is going to be in a strong position now in P2 with 20 minutes to go. And how strong the BMW is over the race distance. Can he start closing in on Willis? And could we see a race 2 and a race 3 victory for Ben Bennyworth?
We'll have to keep a very close eye on that one, but with 20 minutes to go, there's only one person who I wouldn't want to be right now, and that's Race Control's Grant Lyman, who's going to have to work all of that pandemonium out. Yeah, it was just a cloud of spray, tyre smoke, and Honda Civics. If anything, it was like Milton Keynes car park at night.
Yeah, very much. No donuts being done though, I don't think. But yeah, look, it's such a difficult instant that as well. I think that it was just a locking together. I think as the cars tried to exit the hairpin, they're all trying to put the power down and get away. And it looked like there was one of the cars towards the front was turned across the nose of the other cars. I think that was Grout. And then he's just a passenger there. He can't do anything to get out of it. And I think we're going to get a replay of that incident.
Well, we've got a replay here, but what can you learn from this? Because it was just absolute carnage. There was contact left, right, and centre. That's going to take some doing to try and work that one out. I think it all started with Grout with the initial contact, and that's what happened to Handover and spinning in the background. Again, just all happened so fast.
Yeah, and especially there where you start to think it's all calming down and settling down again, and then In all honesty, it looks like he rather gets turned by one of the Civics. Not too sure who it was. One of the black livery cars anyway. Oh yeah, what a shame for Handover. Complete contact there, sending him spearing into the barrier. As he seemed to, emerge relatively scot-free from all the carnage that was going on there. There was cars off to the left-hand side, actually off the track, and kind of making use of the alternate layout there. There was tarmac they were trying to find. I think we're going to get another replay of it from a helicopter cam here. That's quite cool.
Yeah, aerial view then into the hairpin. That's Grout going into the back of Talbot, I believe. The rain coming down. You saw Richards go to the outside. There's Willis up ahead. He's kind of out of this at the moment for the time being. Lewis Manley, you can just see there in the background. He's got the red Honda or the white Honda badge on the roof.
So watch here. Grout there gets turned across the nose of Richards.
Yeah.
So he then goes, he's a passenger,
Yeah.
contact into the left-hand side with the blue and white Civic of Richards, and then it continues on round here.
Yeah, exactly that. And now it's just 4 into 1, don't go. Ben Bennyworth, you see there in the BMW, down the inside, hugs that inside. Loves that, moved up into second place. Now this is where it all got interesting, because now Richards has forced Manley, and that's forced Talbot off the track. Keep an eye on Handover, because now Handover is going past, but Talbot's rejoining the circuit, and it was just that slight love tap there, and that, unfortunately, meant that was pretty much the end of Handover's race.
Yeah, and in these conditions, and with the rear-wheel drive car as well, there's absolutely no saving that, especially at those speeds as well. One of the fastest parts on the track when they're coming down towards the chicane. Plenty of races affected by that one, and like we say, the real beneficiary, Ben Bennyworth, up to second place. Gap now to Willis is a matter of tenths.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's tenths anymore. It's side by side, because round the outside it goes into the Cascades. Can't quite do it this time around. Slots back into position. Are we going to see another move here at the hairpin? I say another move. Hopefully the first of many clean moves that we'll see here at this hairpin at some point. Into the braking zone. No, stays behind. So not managing to get that move done. Against 3 wide at the exit. Oh, we're going to get a carbon copy of what we saw last time. No, we're not. Manley holds on to third. Richards alongside. Remember, proximity. You've got the sensors on the sim now, boys. There's no excuse. Side by side into the braking zone. And Manley holds on to it. Albeit he runs deep and over into the barrier. Collects Richards. Richards holds on to it. That is the benefit of front wheel drive. If the back steps out, plant your foot and hope for the best.
Yeah, Richards getting away with that one, just able to apply plenty of throttle and stick the front end where he needs it to be. As Talbot running wide on the way up the hill there, he's very lucky not to graze the Armco barrier, and Wilson's going to look to the outside in the only forward focus. Contact between the pair of them, and Wilson spun round, and then they all back up, Handover like an elephant running into the back of the stopped train in front, headbutts the rest of them, and they managed somehow to all exit the corner on the track.
Yeah, words of wisdom out of drivers' mouths in the simulators here at the venue, but again, everyone getting through side by side like Noah's Ark. They come 2 by 2 out of the final corner, up the hill now, and Talbot slots behind Grout, who have got exactly the same livery, which makes it impeccably easy to identify which is which. Side by side is Handover trying to get past Burton as well, gets that job done, and has got to get through this main pack of cars once more. Down the hill they go, and you can just see there Talbot going defensive into the Cascades. Handover having to go the long way around and can't quite do it. Stays behind, nearly loses the back end of that Lavorg and holds on to it. Back here at the front though, Willis still in the lead. Bennyworth can't quite get past yet, but you got to remember, tyres, you got to look after the tyres.
As we see Handover just taking the opportunity, the door opened for him. There's a slight mistake from Talbot. He just loops the car, gets the rotation with the rear wheel drive, plants the throttle a little bit, spins up the rears, gets past. So another position for Handover is up to P8. Exactly what you're saying though, DJ, about tyres, because Bennyworth now, I'm sure he'll just be managing them. He'll be letting the race come to him. Halfway through now, conditions potentially, like we said before, likely to change. We did hear from race control, there is a chance for the rain to ease up and the track dry up. Don't feel like it's going to dry completely. We're going to need some help from ambient conditions to do that and remove the water from the track surface. But at the moment, well, I was going to say Bennyworth's going to let the race come to him. He's certainly not wasting any time. Throttle applied, spinning up the rears on the exit, looks to the outside into turn 1, finds his path blocked by the Civic. He's going to try the long way round though. Can't get it done. Can he get a good exit out of turn 1? Yes, he's tucked in behind as they run down over the crest and into Cascades. Willis holds on to the lead for now, but get the feeling that if an opportunity presents itself, Pennyworth's going to take it.
Indeed. Here's Grout and handover further back for 6th place. Again, Grout holding on to that inside line. Handover not being able to capitalise on that positioning of the car. Gives a little love tap just to say, you know, I'm here, I'm in gear, and again, I might hit your ear. There you go. I've got to get that one out again. But there we go. Great move there. On the power, back steps out. Thank you very much. Gets past Grout there. Nicely done. Willis runs wide at the corner. This could be the change for the lead, but he's forced Pennyworth on the outside. He's hugging that inside line. He could get nerfed out wide here. There's side-by-side contact, podding in karting as it's called. But as they go up the hill, here it's still side-by-side. Oh, but Willis goes grass tracking. It's not rallycross, sunshine. This is touring cars back on the track, sorted out. Here comes Richards as well.
Richards is going to want to pounce immediately whilst Willis is flustered as he gets the rear, stepped out there over the crest, lost momentum. Richards looks to the right and then to the left. He's going to try and go the long way round here at Lodge. Can he get it done on the brakes? No, he has to tuck in behind. Gets the cutback though on the exit. They are going to be side by side, down and then up over the crest at Deerleap and across the grid markings to start the next lap. Richards has the high ground. He's on the inside into turn 1. Can he get the job done? Yes, manages to get it clean on the brakes. He moves up to P2. Pennyworth out in front now, 2-second advantage. All this drama behind is letting him streak clear as Manley's now looking to pounce on the injured Willis, who's dropping down the order but finds his route blocked by the back of the Civic. And it's all change at the front. Willis now down to 3rd. Manley tucked right up behind, looks to the outside and then to the inside. Rather opts better of it into the hairpin and backs out. But this train of Civics are certainly seeing dramas. There's contact between Manley and Willis. They both managed to keep facing the right way.
Yeah, indeed. Again, side-by-side action a little further down as well. And everyone staying true to word there. No contact in the back of the field as Chris Wilson under pressure from Charles Grout behind, but again, everyone's slotting into position. 11.5 minutes to go, and again, lots of comments coming in about the racing. Some say it's more destruction derby than touring cars. Again, you could be right, but of course, there's no damage on these cars at the moment. Damage is turned off, and I think in everyone's mind, I suspect that's probably a good call with what we've seen. So, but yeah, and another one. Civics everywhere. There are Civics. It's a plague of Civics. They're like a rash. Every time you look, there's another one. It's horrible. There we go. Lewis Manley, though, that we see, 4th place. He's got very close pressure from Ben Brown just behind in 5th. But again, they're all slotting into position. And again, at this time, it looks like they finally decided to calm down. I wouldn't want to know what those tyres look like.
No, I was just going to say they're going to have taken some significant life out of the rubber underneath them in all this batting. As we see Handover actually off the track there and losing a couple of positions. Or rather, I'm not too sure. Wilson going through, Grout as well. So not too sure what happened to the Subaru Levorg there at Handover. Looks slow on the exit turn 1. Actually mowing some of the grass there as well as they run down into the hairpin. Looking around the outside does Grout, but he's just going to understeer wide. That opens the door for Handover and gains the position. Now the rear wheel drive traction comes in and up over the crest down towards the chicane. Yep, he's up the inside and gets a good run there into the chicane. Can he get the job done on the brakes? Yes, he can. So Handover up to 6th place, 2 positions in 2 corners. Lovely stuff from the Subaru driver, who I'm sure would have hoped his race had different events in this opening half, or opening 2/3 actually, once again having to fight his way through the order.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure he's quite surprised, but I'm sure not as surprised as the ex-health secretary when he saw the Sun tabloids that one morning, did he? But yeah, so a very surprised moment there for all of them out here. Under 10 minutes to go, 9.5, and at the moment we see here the battle between Chris Wilson and Charles Grout as they go into the braking zone of the final corner. No positions gained. New best time. Ben Pennyworth at the front, 133.199 at the front, and is gapping Richards by quite a margin. That gap now 4.5 seconds as they head round the track. It's a great running from the field as, again, you can see Grout going very wide there. Gets a good exit, though, and goes side by side with Wilson. Tries to go around the outside again, a bit more podding, but no major contacts. They get through cleanly and, yeah, stays behind, but he's eyeing up that inside line. We've seen many late lunges from Grout, and we're seeing another one here around the outside, but like you said earlier, he's just going to understeer wide. He is cooking those tyres. Give it one more lap, and I reckon he'll just keep falling backwards and backwards.
Yeah, that front left really takes a beating around Oulton Park and lean on it too much, like we're seeing Grout doing it. And even in the slower speed corners, you know, demand too much from that wet rubber, and you find it just losing life, losing lifespan. And crucially, that just impacts your performance greatly. You lose grip, you lose confidence. It's just repeat, wash, rinse and repeat kind of system here, and then you lose time. Find yourself dropping down the order as we're seeing. I'm impressed that Willis has held on to third now. He's actually doing a good job. We did see him drop back. He was fighting away with the likes of Richards, but now holding on to that final step on the podium. He looks to have recovered the momentum. I can't quite believe it. We're into the final 8 minutes of this race. Absolutely flown by.
It has indeed. Here's a replay then of what happened to Daniel Handover at what corner? Turn 1. And what happened? He ran wide and he hit those barriers. It wasn't as graceful as his previous attempts around the corner. It did go slightly wrong there, but yeah, it's a tough old track here at Oulton Park. That turn 1 as well, very difficult to judge a braking zone as well, especially in these conditions. Very easily run wide. More profanity being announced from the simulators, so again, I think another moment out on circuit. No yellow flags, so if anything, it was just maybe a mere bit of contact as a lunge from Manley down the inside of Willis, thread the eye of the needle, because that was a lunge and a half, but cuts across the nose of Willis once more, and that's a nightmare. Ben Brown as well gets tangled in. Everyone stays on the straight and narrow, but my goodness me, again, Handover capitalizes on it, and it's come out of nowhere.
Somehow they all managed to keep pointing the same direction. I'm really not sure how they all managed that. Manley, I mean, he licked the stamp and sent it into the hairpin. Was that move really on? Not too sure, but he managed to get through. He did take the position. They all just seemed to kick off on the exit of the corner as they all tried to apply the throttle. And like you say, Dan Handover's going to be smiling. He's in 5th place, and all those gaps have closed up rather significantly with all the battling.
Yes, I suspect so. Here is a replay then. We're on board with Manley with this lunge from a different postcode. Down the inside, you can just see there the gap was disappearing, but I say that's a fair move. Now, of course, Willis is still there alongside. Manley was pushing him off, and I just think, yeah, Willis was just like, no, I'm here. Yeah. And then that side-by-side contact was caused, and that caused Manley to go slightly wide, but everyone's recovered again, and now Brown is right on the tail end of Manley as they go down in towards Cascades. Again, keep an eye on Handover, because get ready for him to just capitalize on anything that could potentially happen. Or I say anything that potentially happen, we could see a move here from Handover on Brown in towards the hairpin. Is it going to be the first of the late breakers? It gets squeezed under braking, and that allows Brown to hold on to 4th place at the moment. But again, good exit out of the corner. Handover comes back. He's got the inside line into the braking zone of this next right-hander. He's not alongside though, so it's going to be a lunge if he's going to try it. No, he stays behind, slots back into position. Thinks, again, better off it. Good racing though from these drivers. 5 minutes to go. Ben Bennyworth is leading 8 seconds at the moment from Richards, but all eyes on this battle for the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine as well that Handover's going to have the better rubber underneath him. The rear-wheel drive cars really making their tyres last this 30-minute race. In the previous 2 events, we've really seen that the BMW and the Subaru have pace at the end. As running wide there, Brown, all 4 wheels over the curve and through the grass. He's actually managed somehow to look around the outside of Manley into the braking zone at the final corner. The 2 Civics go side by side. Brown on the left, Manley on the right. It looks like the red and white Civic of Manley gets the better exit and up over the stripe to start the next lap. He holds on to 3rd place for now, but you've got to imagine that Handover's got more grip than these around him. Is very close through turn 1, nudging the back of the Civic of Brown there. Got to get the feeling that Handover needs to make these moves and use the fresher rubber underneath him.
Indeed, you are correct. So 4 minutes to go on board then with Daniel Handover in the Blue Lavorg. And the main thing that you have to take away from this shot is the amount of work he's putting into that steering around these corners. The back end is furiously trying to step out on him. He goes down the inside here. He's alongside Ben Brown. Who's got the better exit? It looks like Handover had the better exit here. Side by side into the braking zone. Manley's liking this because this is going to allow him to break away slightly. Into the braking zone here. Can he do it? He can indeed. Slots in. Great overtake. Good driving from both of them.
Yeah, we've seen it from the rear-wheel drive cars. They've got far superior exit and traction from the hairpin, and Dan Hanover just knew that there, and he pulled over to the right-hand side very early on and planted the throttle, able to just carry that momentum up over the crest and get the job done. Manley's going to be the next driver in his crosshairs, and with 3.25 minutes to go, get the feeling that he'll be able to make a move. Whether it will come off, we'll have to wait and see. They are in fact battling, I'm sure of it, down the hill towards the penultimate corner. But here's Chris Wilson on screen, down in 7th place. Behind him, he's got Grout for company and Willis up ahead. There's a few seconds that separate them though. And here is Handover actually looking for that move on Manley, almost immediately bump drafting, it seemed, over the start-finish line. To the outside goes the Subaru, the Civic on the inside, and a huge slide from Handover. He manages to gather it up, but all that time and momentum lost. He's lucky not to lose the car, let alone the position to Brown behind.
Exactly. You got to remember, Handover, you're in a rear-wheel drive car. You can't be going off the track because the back end will just step out like that, and he's going to have to make that time up again. 2.5 minutes left on the timer. There is not much time left to do it. A little bit late on the brakes, goes a little bit deep, but manages to avoid contact on the entry. Gives a little nudge on the exit, and another one there for good measure is going alongside. Manley goes defensive, covers that inside line. Handover slots right back in, tries now to take the outside line into this corner. It's going to be, can he get the switch over move? He goes to the outside here, comes back alongside. No, stays behind. It's a very dangerous spot to overtake there, and now it's all closing in on each other now, because now comes Brown, is right back onto the tail of this one and is wanting to close in as well. They exit the corner. Brown holds off. He just says, I think I'll back out of this one because it looks like it's heating up a little bit too much for me. Bit spicy.
Yeah, a bit spicy. Yeah, it's a wise decision, I feel, from Brown, because Handover, he's really wanting to make this move now, and he's not too opposed to letting Manley know that he's there. A couple of little bumps and taps on the rear end of that Civic, some paint traded between the two of them as Manley goes deep into the final corner, and the Subaru Lavore comes flying through. Sorry, tripping up on my words there. So much shock at the exit that Handover had. Gets through, position gained up to P3.
It was Scuba-Doo earlier. It's now Scuba-Loo. It's Subaru.
Come out with Vindaloo.
There we go. Oh, that's another story for a different day. But there we go. 1 minute then left on the timer. Ben Bennyworth leading the way at the front. Clear by 10 seconds. Absolutely dominant performance from him after that incident at the hairpin where everything went awry. And he managed to capitalise on that one and go down the inside. Great showing from him so far. Richards is in 2nd place. Handover now in 3rd in shots that you can see. Manley under immense pressure from Ben Brown. The Ben Brown fan club is on the stream shouting, come on Ben, you got this. And we have to see who has got it, because with 30 seconds left to go, the battle for the podium is slowly pulling away, because Handover has gone away now. He's clear by about a second from these drivers now. As they go through, it's going to be Manley fiercely trying to hold on to 4th place, but Ben Brown is not going to make it easy, as the timer is going to be striking to 0 in 5 seconds time. Ben Bennyworth will be rounding the final corner. Yeah.
Manley, sorry, side by side. Brown looking for a move.
Oh, he was indeed looking for a move, but again, checker flag goes out to Bennyworth. And the race is over now. It's going to be who can take 4th place. Brown has got it down the inside, but he runs deep. Now Manley's along side by side. Is he going to try and get the pace? He can't get the pace out of the corner. So Bennyworth takes the win from Richards, from Handover. Brown crosses in 4th, with Manley finishing in 5th place. Willis is going to cross the line in 6th place. As he goes round, he's already crossed the line there. Now he's taken checkered from Wilson, Grout, Burton, and Talbot crosses the line. All 10 take the checker flag. What a race 3 that was.
Well, had all the recipe for an exciting final race. Not only did we have the recipe, we had all the ingredients as well. We managed to stir them together in the right order. What an event. And well, Ben Bennyworth, really, the race, I would like to say it was handed to him, but I think I'd be wrong in saying that. He did exactly what he needed to do following that incident, kept it clean, kept it on the straight and narrow, and just acted like there was no one else out there on track. Lapped the rest of the race, finished P1.
Exactly that. There's a look then at your race results. Ben Bennyworth taking his second win of the weekend. Matt Richards gets his second place. He needed a second place to get the points to take the lead in the championship. So Matt Richards is now your new championship leader by only 1 point. 144 race points he's got now. What a final that was. Daniel Handover again, great result, great recovery as well. Of course, he's just had a really, really tough weekend this time around. It's been up and down all the way through the field, but he has come back with a vengeance in every single race, takes that final spot on the podium in race number 3. What a weekend. What a set of races.
A brilliant trio of races. I mean, Daniel Handover needs to consider buying himself a trampoline. He's so good at bouncing back, and what a fantastic final race for the three of them, back on the podium as well. A lot of pace in that Subaru. I do feel that maybe he had a race win in him. I felt like he had pace to match Bennyworth as well earlier in race 2. But anyway, a fantastic result for all drivers out there. A little bit of argy-bargy in that race 3. We did see some bumps and bruises here and there. Whether or not that result will be final, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, exactly that. The drivers are chatting behind us of what's going to be happening. But of course, stay tuned because the podiums are coming up, and I'm sure that will be one to keep an eye on. Again, thank you everyone for watching, but stay tuned. Podium's coming up.
So an action-packed day at Oulton Park today. The wet weather really causing some dramatic racing and a bit of a pile-up at the end in that final race, but some really great racing and action-packed overtaking and all sorts throughout the day. So we're going to start with our top 3 today of the podium. And in third place with 45 points was Daniel Handover. So well done to Daniel. Well done. We'll do a... In second position with 52 points was Matt Richards. Very important for the championship, this one. Well done. And our event winner was Ben Bennyworth. So well done to Ben with 57 points. Well done, guys. Lift up your trophies and we'll do a quick driver interview with all 3 of you. So well done. I'll do a quick photo once we've done the interviews, guys. Okay, so we'll start with Dan in third place. So a bit of a last-minute entry for the touring cars, and it's ended up with you on the podium. So a very successful day. Seemed like the order of the day was keeping those tyres in check through the temperature changes and through the weather changes throughout the day. Just want your view on it, basically. How'd you do it?
Well, not crash for one, which didn't happen in all 3 races, let's be honest. No, it wasn't the easiest of 3 races. It's good fun, though. Really enjoyed it. Subaru feels nice and balanced. I think the rear-wheel drive definitely had. I think me and Ben were pretty on agreement that the BMW and the Subaru had a fair advantage in the wet to the latter half. It's just really good fun. And tyres in check were definitely the key thing.
Perfect. So we'll move on to Matt now. So Matt, obviously this is a great boost for your championship hopes with Callum missing out in this round, doing some spotting at Brands Hatch for the Euro NASCAR. Bit of a funky excuse, but we'll go with it. But well done to Matt. So I'm sure you're extremely happy with how the day went. Maybe some more victories would have been nice?
Possibly, yeah. As previously discussed, the rear-wheel drives had a little bit of an edge on us today. Just happy to come away with the points that I needed and see what we can do going forward.
So let's get your perspective on that race 3 hairpin incident. So we obviously saw about 3 or 4 cars trying to go into one corner, and obviously none of them really making it out that fair, with, I would argue, yourself and Lewis being innocent bystanders in this. But what was your take on that incident?
I could see people stacking up a little bit. Went to the outside just to try and stay safe a little bit. Didn't work, but we came through anyway.
Perfect. I mean, everyone is still friends in the venue, I hope, after that incident. It seems like everyone is all talking with each other, so that's all good. And just a final thing. So looking forward to Callum returning to the championship for the next round and really tightening up with that championship battle?
I think the gap might be about a point at the moment. So hopefully we'll see what happens going forward and have a nice fight to the end.
Sounds great. I mean, obviously, with previous rounds where you had to miss a round, I believe, due to COVID-19 situation, and now with Callum missing a round and Lewis having to change car as well and resetting his points, it kind of feels like all the championship contenders have had a bit of a reset now, so that you are all on equal footing, if that makes sense, which should make the final rounds of the championship that much more exciting.
Yeah, it definitely should do. I mean, it'll bring everything a little bit closer and means that we'll definitely go into the last race of the season with a fight on our hands.
Fantastic. Well done for today. And we move on. I'm going to come up to the podium because I am not that tall. So well done to Ben Bennyworth. Absolutely fantastic driving all day. Is it second in the Clios and now taking the overall victory in the touring cars? What a day.
Yeah, it's been a great day. I'm a little bit gutted about the first race because if it would have been a win, it would have been a hat trick. So a bit gutted about that. Other than that, it's been a good day.
I mean, you seem to have the pace basically the whole event, like from the start to finish, from the first practice session, at top of the leaderboard, qualifying, you stole pole position in the final few seconds, which was really cool to see. And then race 1, you and Matt having that awesome throughout the race. It was really great to watch you guys. Some awesome defensive driving and stuff like that. It was brilliant to watch. But yeah, just fantastic driving throughout. So looking forward to the next round at SNET 300. Going to get some sneaky practice in for the next one.
I hope so, yeah. When's the next round?
I've completely forgotten the date for the next round, so I'm probably the worst one to ask for that, but it's not on my head at the moment, unfortunately. First weekend of August, thank you. At least one of us on here knows. It's not the person who's supposed to know, but one of us knows. So get some friendly practice in before then, maybe. We'll hopefully see you in the venue getting some rounds round, and you might get a sneaky shot at maybe getting top 4 or 5 in the championship.
I hope so, yeah, I hope so.
maybe the first of many wins for yourself. So fantastic, guys. Thank you again for our top 3. If you guys could all give us them a massive round of applause. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm on. Excellent, cool. It was the best handover I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Well, again, a fantastic ending to the racing here at Simply Race. It's been absolutely amazing to watch them. 3 very dramatic races, dramatic qualifying, and dramatic.
I know, I noticed that.
Like I said, they were chatting about it on the podium. They were unsure when the next round was. I can confirm it's on Sunday, the 1st of August next month. So make sure you don't miss out on that one. Snetterton 300. If you thought Oulton Park was good fun, you've not seen anything yet. The longest track on the calendar for the season. And it's going to be all to play for. With Matt Richards now taking the lead in the championships. Will Callum Cripps come back to defend his title? We'll have to find out. But from us here at Simply Race, from myself, Anthony Jordan, and my co-commentator, Tim Fulbrook, who has disappeared off into the distance. He's in the shade here at Simply Race. But yes, a huge thank you to everyone watching, and goodbye for now.